Call meeting to order. Shelley, can you do roll call, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. District 1, Councilman Rios.
Present.
District 2, Councilman Pastor.
Present.
District 3, Councilman Latham.
Present.
District 4, Vice Mayor Stapleton.
Here.
District 5, Councilwoman Giles.
Here.
District 6, Councilman Shipley.
Here.
Mayor Gameros.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Shelley. Please join me in invocation. Lord, we ask for your guidance and protection for our council, our staff, and all our employees. We ask for all those that are healing from the COVID-19 healing and their families. And we ask that an end to this COVID-19 virus. In God's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Mike, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go to current events, and we'll start with Charlene.
Okay, well, I have a few things. So Southwest Gas donated a truck to High Desert Humane Society, and that was so needed. And I just want to thank them. They've donated to the city, they've donated to other nonprofits, and they're just really great community partners. The dog park. Has anybody been up to the dog park? It is looking so cool. So the guys that have been working on the dog park have an ore car up there. They have the whole walking path all the way around with crushed granite and a curb. They have a gazebo with freshly painted picnic tables in there. They have a hydrant that's the water source. They ran the hose up through the hydrant, so when you turn the water on, it comes out of the fire hydrant. It's really well done. And so to everyone in Public Works that's been over there working on the dog park, thank you so much. And then I'd also like to thank the Public Works guys that did the crack sealing. So it was brought to my attention that several of them went above and beyond and did such an incredible amount of work in just a few days, like to the point of where they were using 1 or 2 pallets of material, and they used 3 pallets, same number of men, 3 pallets in 3 days to get it done. So thank you so much. We recognize that you went above and beyond. And were you going to talk, Mike, about the parade? Okay. And then Jesse, were you going to talk about the house on South Street and all that cleanup? Okay. So thank you so much to code enforcement who's been on this particular property on South Street, and it's over by the winery. It was really in deplorable shape, and there's now been a building that was just literally falling in that's been torn down. The grounds have been landscaped. The fences in the house have been painted. 3 loads of junk have been hauled off. It looks so nice, and we just want Michelle to know that we noticed that, and it looks great. Thank you. And that's all I have.
Ready.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to keep reminding everybody, with this pandemic, that we still want to take care of each other. We want to respect each other and continue our CDC guidelines. It's going to be a long road to recover, and we're all hoping that the saving grace would be a vaccine. But, I see a lot of soft openings, and we're learning today that the governor has expanded the openings to pools and sports venues and things like that. So I think we're going to see a big wave of openings and people wanting more things open. So just respect each other and stay safe. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mike?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything. As I've been reporting, I'm hunkered down. My wife and I were in the high-risk class, so we're taking it pretty slow and easy. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Fernando? You on the line?
Basically, the only thing I have to update is we've made a lot of progress on the building for the youth club. We got a grant from Freeport, but because we moved the kids in, it was a little difficult to get the contractors there. But we were able to partner with Salvaged Youth, which is the group that was working with the team that went into our old facility. And because they were kind of on shutdown because of COVID, they were able to allow us to use that building for the next 3 weeks so that we can have the contractors up there working full time. We got a new AC unit going in the office. We have new swamp coolers. We're replacing the old roof with a new roof. So everything's going to pretty much stay the same. It's just going to be new material. So, but it's starting to look really good. And I want to thank Chris Fowl for working with us to accommodate the kids and the families that we're serving now. So thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. Jesse?
I just want to thank those people that are continuing to work during the pandemic, police, fire department, public works, and all the other essential workers out there doing their part to keep the economy going and keep us safe. I also want to thank the public works that went above and beyond at the dog park. I mean, it's been shared amazingly. If you haven't been up there, please do get a chance to go up there and see it. It's awesome. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Jesse. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Joe Bracamani. Not only Joe, but the entire Globe Fire Department, Globe PD, Tri-City Fire, and the Sheriff's Office. They did a parade over at Haven yesterday morning, actually. And Joe organized the whole thing, and it just turned into something really large. So I'd like to thank all of you guys for that. The looks on the faces over there at the folks over at Haven was really cool. So, and then I checked on Facebook, and they had over 10,000 views and 500 likes. So
That's great.
thumbs up to all you guys. I appreciate it. And I hear there's another one this Thursday at the hospital. Same thing, and he's gonna, didn't include Miami PD, but this time around we're gonna include Miami PD. They were just overlooked, so. But make sure you thank your officers, Chief. It really made their day, I think. So thank you. And then same thing that Freddie said, a lot of these businesses are opening up now, slowly but surely. Just be patient with everybody. We've all been off for 6 weeks, 7 weeks now. I know I ran into a bunch of problems today. I was at my place at 3 o'clock this morning trying to get everything going. So, and I ran into several hiccups. So just be patient and friendly and keep your social distancing. So thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mike. I also want to echo what a little bit on what's been already said. You know, we need to respect each other during these times. You know, we all have different opinions, whether we want to wear a mask or not, whether we want to social distance or not, but we just need to respect each other in the process. I know several of our restaurants have opened, and we have several that have chosen not to open. So I encourage us to continue to support these restaurants also that are still doing the drive up and take out only. As we see the numbers, we're going to see more positive numbers in the state, and that's because they're doing more testing. They did a massive testing at the State Farm arena this weekend, and so those numbers will be coming out in the next couple of days. But we're also going to see a lot of negative, and that's what's going to dilute it, is the negative. So what we want is the number of positive, the percentage is what we want to see get down below 5%. And I think it fluctuated from 6 to 7% for the past week, but we'll see those numbers diluted and hopefully those numbers coming down. What we want to keep an eye on as we open up is, do we see more cases being admitted into the hospitals and more deaths? Those are going to be the true numbers if we're going to see some numbers going up. So these are things that we should watch out for the future. And for a council meeting, so if people want to comment, they can email in to council@globeaz.gov. Is there a phone they can also text into, or no? We have that not.
That had not been discussed.
So it all has to be by email then at this point.
Right. At this point, I think we're gonna have a conversation about the ability to text in, but right now, if you want to speak to call the public, it's an email to council@globeaz.gov. If you missed the first one, we can read it the second one. We'll read them in full. Mayor, you'll have control over anything like you would on a regular meeting. On the, they want to speak to the item. That should be a two-way conversation. So in that, they would email a phone number if they'd like to speak to an item, like they want to talk about the, I don't know, the 911 system, the dispatch. And then you would actually use your phone to call them live on the air, and then you could have a two-way conversation that everybody could hear.
Now, same thing with the call to the public. If they want to make a comment on the second call to the public, I would think they would have to leave a number so we can call them, because we're going to have to get a hold of them somewhere.
Well, we would just read it out loud.
Okay.
And so the thought process being that the second call a call to the public is a one-way communication. Speaking on an item is a two-way communication. Okay. That's the difference between a phone call and just reading a text.
So that email again is council@globeaz.gov. And again, we'll continue to try and improve our method, and we'll be communicating with Daniel, our IT, in the back when he gets those messages in. And that's all I have.
I forgot one thing. I'm sorry, I forgot one thing that it's happening this weekend. So the Gila County Historical Museum is doing a 3-day event that is a salute to ranching. So it'll be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it's all going to be outdoors. So the folks can come and, not worry about being in an enclosed area. And you can go on the Facebook page of the Gila County Museum to get a schedule. I'm not sure what all the events are.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, just again wanted to, just two quick things. I know that the governor put out executive orders loosening gyms, pools, spas, and homes of worship. There's detailed directions for people participating and the vendors. So the gym participants have one set of guidelines, the gym owners have another set of guidelines, and I think that's really good. I think gyms are actually able to open as soon as tomorrow. But we're happy to see that happening. The only other thing I wanted to share, as part of our guidelines for handling COVID internally in the city, in some instances we have a higher level of restriction on employees. For the past 2 weeks from previous this Monday, Public Works were on 14 days with masks all the time when they're at work. That period has passed, that 14 days has passed, and now all Public Works people need to be masked up if they're working within 6 foot of a coworker or they're dealing with members of the public. Now you may see, 2 weeks ago you would see a Public Works worker driving around in a car by himself with a mask on. And that's the rules, and everybody can say, well, you can, or out in the middle of a field, mowing or weed eating with a mask on. Now you may see them out alone, working or driving without those masks on. Usually they're using bandanas, they have them ready, but if they're talking to each other or they're talking to a member of the public, then they know to mask up. They've been very good about it. Very, very good about doing that. But I just wanted to let anybody in the public know that their requirements have changed. They've lessened. It gives a little bit more comfort, and when they do need to wear a mask and don't. So I just wanted to share that. And Mr. Mayor, members of council, that's all I have.
I have
A question on that too. I know it shows 6 recovery, 2 in Payson, so that must assume that we have 4 here recovered in Globe. Does that include some of our public works, or is that?
Yeah, I really can't answer that question.
We can't disclose that. Okay, but we do have 4 recovered.
I will tell you that
9 here in Globe.
I will tell you that all members of the city, the city are either healthy or getting better. I think we're looking good there.
Mr. Mayor? I'm sorry, go
Ready,
ahead.
go ahead. Oh, Charlie, I'm sorry.
I just had a question. Is there any word on what people want to know about the parks, about our city parks and public restrooms?
I did not get a chance to dig through there. That's one of the questions I asked Michael O'Driscoll, if there's any word, and I'm going to address that in my presentation, but it is, right now, the standard is every time one person goes in there, somebody's got to go in and clean behind them before another person go in there. We're hoping to see a relaxation of that, because there's no way we can open them when they're in this position right now. So we're waiting for that. We're looking for that. We're asking about that. And I don't know if it's included in here or not, but that's one of the things.
My comment is this: the next time you're talking to somebody more important than us, please tell them that I myself personally am very tired of cleaning up other folks' stuff from behind the building at Old Dominion Park, because that restroom's locked.
Mm-hmm.
People are just going behind the building. They are. Wow. They're going outside behind the building. Wow. So it would be way better if
Yeah.
the building was unlocked.
No, and that's on our our hot list of things that we're looking for. And Mr. Mayor, members of council, is it still me? I'm not sure. I think I ended, but
Yeah,
there's one other item I wanted to share. Right now, I know there's a lot of rolling out and allowing some reopening the economy. I think the city is at a good place right now. We have our structures in place. We have our procedures and guidelines in place. We have people doing 18B team. They're working from home. They got the mojo down. And so I don't see us making any significant changes right now as an organization, and until we let some time lapse, see what happens. There's a lot out there. I don't want to do flip-flopping, so I think we're going to hold the ship steady with what we're doing now. I would say, if anybody asked me, I would say I don't see us making any operational changes on our COVID response for the month of May. So just so you know that, we'll as we get closer, we'll see what comes. But I don't. And when we talk in our command team, we have no discussions about doing anything different, even opening up facilities yet. So I just want to share that with everybody.
Fred?
Mayor, I was just going to comment on the recoveries. If I recall, I do listen to the Gila County emergency conference calls, and I believe there was one time where the epidemiologist said that a confirmed recovery is 30 days after a confirmed positive. So it does take that long for us to start hearing of the recoveries after we hear of a positive COVID. So just want to share that.
That makes sense.
I got a question too, Mayor, through you, with Charlene's question about the restrooms. Owning a restaurant, we don't have to clean the restrooms after
No.
every use. So what's the difference?
Public restrooms, restrooms operated by a public entity.
That's the difference?
That's the difference. Like public pools, private.
There's less people using the bathroom
there's
at
more
Old
people
Dominion
that use
Mine
my
Park than at
restroom
your
than with the
restroom.
parks.
That's right.
I remember when this came down, and that was something that they, is it public restrooms or restrooms open to the public? It was public restrooms operated by a public entity. Walmart gas stations could leave theirs open, but we were ordered to.
Yeah, that needs addressed because that's just so ridiculous.
Absurd, really,
Walmart,
because
hundreds of people a day, maybe 1,000.
Yeah.
And Old Dominion Mine Park, maybe 10 or 12 people. And it's Round Mountain. I mean,
Well, it's several. It's Round Mountain. It's right here at City Hall.
yeah,
Several bathrooms that I think
Yeah.
I think that question should be addressed.
I do too.
Yeah.
Because we did go over that, and I couldn't afford to pay somebody to go clean the restroom after every.
Yeah, no, it's too high of a standard to keep them open. But
And at what point is it an individual's responsibility? If they're going in a public restroom, whether
Yeah.
it's operated by a public entity or a business, it's your responsibility that is using the facility. And I'm here to tell you, I'm not kidding when I tell you people are just going outside.
And when we get to the presentation on the special event where we talk about the COVID, applying that, we can have a better discussion
Okay.
about that. And that'll give me a couple seconds to do some quick research.
And one last question, Mayor, through you. Pools. Do they have a date on pools when they'll be opening?
Oh, let me do the research. I'll open that one
That
right now.
executive order just came out within the last
Yeah.
hour.
Good.
Yeah,
I got it right in front of me.
the guidance on
I
that.
was just curious
Yeah.
about that, because I know the pools here in town.
I think theaters are Friday night or Friday,
Are they?
but I don't know what pools are, but it just came out, so, and I forwarded, I guess Shelley can print those out for us after and everything.
13th of May? Good.
Wow.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's all.
There we go.
Okay, so we can go first to our
Council
first
on
call,
top of it.
community call to the public. Do we have any, Daniel, any comments yet?
Okay.
Okay, and she left a number then?
Um,
If not, I think I have her number.
what
You have it.
did you forwarded that to me? Oh, here I found it. No, that's not it. Oh, can you send it to my city mail? Because I don't have. I was looking and I'm not finding my council inbox. I don't have my Macs or Windows side open.
If you get any call to
Yeah.
the public, you forward those to mine, Daniel. I have mine open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, so I do have that. Okay. So yeah, this is for on the signage.
7A.
And let me email her back and ask her for her phone number.
Okay.
Okay.
Jesse has it.
Oh.
Yeah, I have.
Oh.
it too.
Okay.
I have it
Okay.
too.
Okay. So then you guys can
We'll
call
call
it. Okay. God, you gotta.
Okay, so we'll go to a special presentation and ceremonial matters. And item 3A, we have Globe Library will present Summer Reading 2020 Preview. Adria.
Hello, Adria. How you doing?
Can't hear you.
You're looking good. You're not sounding so good. Can you hear me? Do you need to unmute your microphone?
Yeah, touch the screen.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
There we go. All right. Here we go. All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. This is a preview of what the Globe Public Library is doing this summer for our yearly summer reading program. The theme this year is Imagine Your Story, and it is all things fairy tales, mythology, and fantasy. I can't imagine a more appropriate theme as we are all reimagining so many parts of our jobs as well as our lives. At the Globe Public Library, that means switching from in-person traditional programs to a virtual platform. Instead of meeting with different age groups on different days at the library, as we have done in the past, we will be broadcasting via Facebook Live for different age groups on a weekly basis. What's great about this is that people will have the option to pick up supplies to recreate the projects they learn about during the course of the summer. We'll be publishing more details soon, but in the meantime, we would like to say thank you to the Arizona State Library and Archives Public Records, the United Fund of Globe Miami, the Friends of the Globe Public Library, the Gila County Library District, and the many departments in the City of Globe, such as Public Works, that help make the library's programs possible. At this time, we would also like to thank Mayor Gameros for starting a new tradition with the library. Last summer, he painted a mural of the library's summer theme, and we put it on display at the front of the library. Now he has done it again, and I would like to ask City Manager Paul Jepson and Mayor Gameros to reveal this year's mural. Is it possible to have that happen? I can't see, so I don't know what's happening.
She means right now.
They're going to get it. They're going to get it. It's very cool.
Danny, where's the camera? Here we go.
Yay!
See it now?
That way. Put it more that way, Paul.
Oh.
Here we go.
So thank you, Mayor Gameros, and we can't wait to hang it on the front of the library to help bring our program from fantasy to life. Does anybody have any questions?
Anybody have any questions, Ready?
Just have a comment. Adria, again, you always find ways to make things happen, and it doesn't surprise me that even under the COVID restrictions that we have, you're still finding ways to reach out to our community and our youth in a positive manner. So, congratulations for your work, and just keep up the good work. It's really great to have an asset like you that can keep our citizens engaged, even under the conditions that we're in. So thank you.
Thank you.
Here, here.
Yep.
I couldn't do it without my staff, so I have to give a huge shout out to my staff.
Well, that's
Rael,
to your staff
Melissa,
as well.
Mary Helen, Effie.
Adria, I just want to echo what Councilman Rio said. And for those of you that don't know, Adria just had a birthday, and one of her birthday presents was she donated flowers to the nursing homes to hang outside of their windows. So again, that goes to show how you just keep doing for the community. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Adria,
Thank you.
for your energy and your enthusiasm. We see that, and it pays. Really, you being part of that library is amazing. You and your staff. We thank you very much, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Item B, presentation updating council on temporary impact of COVID-19 pandemic on approval of special events permits. Paul.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, the one thing you can say is special about Globe is, you know, right when all this was hitting, everybody's planning for when the lift was going to come, when we get on the other side of this COVID situation and the pandemic. Early on, we had, and there are many people out there, but there were 2 moms of children graduating from Globe High School that they want to throw a prom. They want to have an outdoor prom to celebrate their kids' graduations that they weren't able to do. We wouldn't even meet with them until we got into May, because there is not enough information. We did have our meeting yesterday, and I think it's doable. It's not so much about the event. I think it's definitely doable, but there are 3 key things that I wanted to share with council that are now factoring into any type of special event application. One thing we're going to do is, at this point, while the COVID incident command team is up and running, and just a side note, somebody asked me, when will we be closing the COVID incident command team? And I think the answer is when we have nothing to talk about. So we're tracking all this stuff, and so we went we talked about this prior, and then we met with them, and we put in place that any special event permit needs to be cleared by this group to make sure that we're in compliance with public health, with the CDC guidelines, with the DUCE executive orders. And so we shared that with them. And these are where the tough questions came in. They want to do this, and we're telling them, you know, if you were throwing this yesterday, there are many things you couldn't do. Today, there's some differences. By the time they want to do this, which is into June, things may change a lot. But the questions that we're still left hanging on, the gatherings of 10 or more. In restaurants, that's been reduced, but it has been reduced on outside activities, at least as best as I know. 6-foot separation is still in place. Mask if you're within 6 foot. The hygiene issues, bathroom cleanings, they want to bring porta potties to this event, and do we have to have someone going in the porta potty every time someone goes in? Food requirements. We hope, and we told them, let's keep meeting every 2 weeks and see what changes, and see if we can glide into where the requirements lift and the date is still possible, and we can make it happen. But I wanted to let council know that I do believe that it is absolutely crucial that any event that the city allows and gives a special event permit be in compliance with the CDC, with the governor's executive orders, and general public health. And so we're using that body where we have the expertise and the knowledge to make these determinations. Right now, we're still hoping some guidelines will change and we can make this happen, but that's what we're looking at. And the bathroom question is one we've just been talking about, and we will keep looking. And I texted somebody to see if I can find out if there's any change. I don't think so. I probably would have heard, but we'll see.
And the parks.
The parks, yeah. It'd be any public bathroom, whether it be in a building, a park.
Right, but we have 5 city parks, and they're.
And the playground equipment. I mean, we got police tape on the playground equipment. You know, it's horrible. And I get it. I get why, but it's just it'd be nice that we can find ways around that, or at least find that the situation has changed enough where people have changed their habits and have the care that I think we could have it compatible. And let me see if I have to look at number 36. All right, so let me keep doing my research. It might be there. So the second thing I wanted to say, in talking about this event, and this presentation is not about this event, this prom, but it's the first one we're running through the new process. Overtime. We're short on staff. We have we're down some people. We have a lot of overtime we're pulling. One of the things that we're going to be somewhat careful about is allocating overtime hours or saying, yeah, we can do this, we can get you people, but we don't know that we can get people. And so there may be events or cluster events. And this project, this event started off on Broad Street. We think we got moved into a parking lot. And so I think that would be a better and require less staff. And so we're trying to work to lessen the impact for staff, city staff. We want to make these happen, but if the staff requirements are so much and we can't muscle together the overtime, that's going to be a limiting problem that we haven't had so much in the past. The third one is the cost. We're seeing definite, 25% in March reductions in TPT, in state and city sales tax, and so we have to be careful that already the budget is fragile, that we take on too much of overtime budgeting requirements. I know that at this point, anything that we assign the police to do or public works to do, we pay for the overtime. I think on this one special event, I don't see it as being overly burdensome, but that will be a factor in the future. I don't know what event, but those three things are things that we're going to have heightened, not scrutiny, but concern to make sure that those new factors, and those are the three areas that have impacted how we do special event process. And so I wanted to just let you know that. And I think, and if you had any comments, questions, or thoughts.
Mr. Mayor,
Mike?
if this is going to be an outdoor event, then you probably need to look at the folks who want to come and be there to see what's going on. Okay? Right now, you're just talking about people who are going to be part of the prom group, right?
Right.
Okay. But friends, relatives.
Well, we would think the model would be,
lose
it'd be like a closed event where you have some type of snow fencing and you have entrance and exit.
Oh, okay.
And so it wouldn't be, just people passing through. But I do know, this is the one thing I worry about teenagers meeting in a street with other teenagers who weren't invited and
This
it
is
just,
a Globe function, Globe High School?
no, this is two moms. They're not affiliated with anything other than their children attend Globe. But they're quite motivated, quite passionate, and I think they're quite able to pull it off.
I would be afraid that once it gets started, though, you're going to have kids from
Yeah.
even both communities. I
Right.
wouldn't be surprised the kids from Miami would
And
come over.
and as we get deeper into that, and then I'm getting a text that says that you might want to, is your mic on?
That's on.
Okay. Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, they texted about you, Jesse, too. So.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, but yeah, no, I think that is the group will go through and I think look at that. We have police in the group and make sure that yeah, you have, I remember high school. And I remember you have.
It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, you have counterpart. One of the things they said is they're kind of not sad, but I don't know how many people will be left in town. It may be in June. People have gone off. They mentioned that some people are joining the military and already have plans to either travel or sign up or do something else. And so they're thinking 100, 150 people, including parents. So it's not going to be a gigantic, massive event that you would think. But I use that as a model, as the first one out of the chute that we're going to be talking about. And but we're very supportive. I think it's a very good thing that they're trying to do. And they're communicating with the high school, but it's not sponsored by the high school. So unless there's any other questions about these are things that are on our radar that we have to worry about when doing this during these times.
Anybody else? And that's all you have, Paul?
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor, members of council.
Thank you. Item C, presentation to council, a City of Globe's opening day program designed to assist businesses as they re-enter the economy, and Linda's not available tonight, so.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, yeah, Linda is not available. She had something come up, and I told her, oh, I can do it. And she's like, no, let's wait until she can do it. And I know, Mr. Mayor, I know that the Economic Development Group has been working hard to reach out to all businesses trying to open up, and having that reopen day. There's a lot of things going on. I hate to butcher the message. What my request is that we table it and we can reschedule it for the meeting on the 28th, the next meeting.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I'd just
26.
like to comment, I know that the task force, because I'm also part of the EDC, the Southern Gila County, and the task force that has been developed within our city, and the reach out that they did initially for the small business loans and the PPP programs was amazing, you know, helping people get the applications through and everything. So then they switched gears once they were able to open restaurants and so on, and they went, and now they're reaching out again to them and talking to them and letting them know that the city's there with them, but they're giving them the guidelines that they need to actually go by, and these are coming from the executive order of the governor. But kudos to that task force. I think they've done an excellent job with reaching out, and our business community, I think, is very, very grateful for having that. So, but yeah, she'd be better to put that presentation.
Yeah,
on.
we're gonna save that so she can do a presentation that is clear, concise, and explanative of what efforts the city is taking to help businesses reopen.
So item D, we have presentation updating council on current water infrastructure finance authority WIFA commitments and impact of the future WIFA funding opportunities on utility rates. And Jerry.
So
There he is.
there he is. Hey, Jerry.
Mute.
Unmute.
Can't hear
Can you hear us?
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
got it now?
Yep, we're good.
Yeah, so I thought we were doing this on Zoom. I was waiting there.
Oh,
Okay. Hey, guys.
hello.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So my item is to talk about the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority commitments and the impact that our future WIFA funding opportunities on the utility rates. Kind of backwards. I want to talk about the impact that the rate increase would make on funding opportunities. So I'm going to figure out how to upload. There we go. Can you see that?
Yes.
All right, slideshow. All right, cool. So my first slide shows kind of where we're at. And we had Greg Swartz from Piper Sandler look at this and come up with some numbers for us. He based on our past budgets and also on our current budget forecast. So, and he took in the depreciation for what we have as far as the operating expenses. And he came up with our coverage dropping from 2.7 down to 1.25. Now, a lot of that has to do with the increased expenses this year that we have in the wastewater because of the CIP items and so forth. You know, it really is a testament to you guys for spending the money within the enterprise funds to upgrade our infrastructure. So that's kind of where we're at on that. As we go through this, I'll be a little more specific, but you can see when our last increase was in 2018, and the one before that was in 2016. So we right now, and we'll go through these numbers. Let me go to the next slide. So this one's kind of hard to read, but basically it's a forecast, and I blew it up for you just a little bit in this slide. So I'm looking at a 10-year forecast here. This is if we operated ideally to where every year there was a 1.5% increase in revenue, and there was also a 1.5% increase in operating expenses. So I talked to Greg Swartz, and we were not able to forecast what we're going to do this year. We know that our revenue is going to drop some because of the pandemic, but we don't have a number we can adjust to that. But chances are that we will be significantly below our 1.2 requirement because of our reduced revenue. So if you have any questions, just chime in, because I'll either that or I'll take them at the end. So the next slide is kind of options. If we stay where we're at a 1.25, let's look at that. At 1.25, we have the capacity for a loan of $385,000. One of our pump stations costs $400,000 or $500,000. So this isn't much at this point. If it drops below this, if it drops below this, we're not compliant with our WIFA requirement. So if we, the other thing I wanted to show, let me go to the next slide. So staff recommends that if we do a raise, if council decides to raise, we don't do it until January, because we think that people need a chance to get back to work, and before anything hits them, even a small raise like this. So we're recommending a January 1 raise in 2021. Okay, if we go in at a 3.2% raise in January of 21, our coverage rate goes up to a 1.43, which gives us a 2.3, little dyslexic, $2.3 million capacity for a loan grant. If we go up to a 5%, our coverage goes up to a 1.54, and our ability to get a loan would go up to $3.4 million. This is kind of in the area of the last loan that we got. Okay, so before previous councils asked that we keep this coverage up above 2.0 because we haven't been raising the rates on a yearly basis, or even every other year basis, the last one being a 2.5 in 2018. We would need a 13.9% increase to pick this up above a 2.0, which would give us the 8.7 million capacity of loan. When we got our last loan, our capacity was somewhere around $15 million. So that's kind of where we fell because of the extra expenses that we had, and also our coverage. I wanted to also show you. So I also wanted to show you how this would affect us, how this would affect the residents. A 3.2% rate increase would affect our residential users based on a 15,000 gallon usage per month, $2.30 a month on the water, and 73 cents a month on the sewage. So we're talking $3.03. And you can see up above the other information is the raises we actually implemented. The 13.5 in 2013, 2014 was a 13.99. We didn't do anything in 15. In 16, we put a 10.4 in, and then in 18, we put a 2.5 in, and we haven't done anything since then.
Jerry, I have a question.
Okay.
So why are we not, or did we look at a 2.5 again? As opposed to...
We did, and the council decided not to put a raise through.
No,
in
I understand.
last year.
I mean for 2021. If our raise in 2018 was 2.5, have we considered 2.5 for 2021?
If we took it down to a 2.5, it would be below this. It would give us less than $2 million capacity, and may not even bring us up enough to where we would have the 1.2 if we get revenue offset in the from the pandemic. So I'm concerned about that factor not being in there, and Greg would not put it in there. So that's kind of, it's quite, and Fernando, you know quite a bit about this, and you know, I'm concerned about dropping below 1.2 coverage, which we've obligated ourselves to WIFA. And then the other thing is, let me back up just a little to this slide here. Back even further to this slide. If you notice, the years that we did the increases, our coverage jumped significantly the following year, not only because of the increase, but because then we had a WIFA loan that was offsetting a lot of our expenses. So, for instance, in 2014, when our coverage was dropping way down, and we did not put it in a raise until 2016, our coverage went up because we used the WIFA money to offset a lot of the maintenance and operating expense that we normally would have used. Just pointing that out. So, you know, the council, you know, we're just giving you options tonight. So, you know, we're
Jerry, I have a question.
Okay.
And I don't know what year it was, maybe 13, 14. Didn't the council vote at that time to do an annual, it was an 11-year projection to continue a continuous increase in these rates to keep up with that 1.2 ratio? And I think there were some years that we missed though. And if I remember right, but that's when I was with the fire department still in it.
Yeah, if we, in 2015, had we gone forward with a 3.4% as we planned every year, we would have been on track, maybe even a little bit ahead of track. Because one thing you got to remember is, as we do these WIFA projects, our operating expenses should decrease. The reason it hasn't been is because we've been fixing our infrastructure. But yes, that we had that plan. It's just that every year we take this to the budget, and council decides what they want to do.
And what is our largest WIFA? Is that the $5 million that we got for this North Broad project? Was that the biggest one we've gotten in the past 5 years?
We've gotten a 5.5. I've got some slides on that a little bit later if you want to wait.
Okay.
But let me just finish these up, and then I'll get into that.
Can I ask a question real quick, Jerry?
Sure.
So you have this 15,000 gallon usage. Is that significant? Is that the average, or why the 15,000?
It's just kind of an average. Jody came up with this form here, and she used what she considered an average.
Okay.
That would show council approximately what it would be. If your usage is higher, you would be paying more. If it's lower, you'd be paying less.
And then one thing I'd like to add is being able to borrow money from WIFA is highly desirable because a portion of that is forgivable. So if we went out to borrow money to do the infrastructure project from a regular bank or go out to bond, it would not be forgivable. You'd have to pay it all back. And with WIFA, you'd want to be able to be in a good position to qualify for their money, because depending on what the project is, a good portion of that is forgivable.
So in saying that, the better coverage you have, the better forgivable you get too. Is that correct, Fernando?
That's my understanding, yes.
Yep. So that's kind of why we try to keep it above a 2, but we've been lax in that. So let me keep going. I talked about the 5% increase if council decided to do there, and to answer your question a little more concisely, Charlene, council can decide to do any type of raise or not do a raise. I'm just throwing out numbers that I thought might be something to look at for you. So if 5% would be $3.64 and $1.15 for sewerage, which is $4.79 increase per month. At 13.9, which would bring us back up above the 2, would be 10.18 and 3.18, which would be 13.36 per month, which is a little over $100, about $150 a year. Okay, so why we do this? This kind of going back to what the mayor was talking about. In 2004, we had a WIFA loan of $5 million. We built the Hagen tanks with that. We also redid our pump station out at Cutter Wells, front to back. We cleaned up some various lines and valves, isolated valves, so we could have better control over our water system to the city. And then we put in some additional replacement lines out at Reese Canyon and Just Hayes. In 2014 was our biggest one, Mayor, and it was 5.5 million. And if you remember, our coverage was way up by that time, and it gave us $3 million forgivable. So with that loan grant, we built the new tank out at Crestline. We also replaced all the meters within the city, all of our customers with new meters. We upgraded our SCADA system to bring it 20 years into the future. We Fire Chief Ramirez, you remember all the fire hydrants we put in at that point, all over the city. We also wanted to control over the pressure throughout the city, so we put in a series of pressure relief valves where we could have pressure zones throughout the city, so we didn't have damage done to either our pipes or our residents. And then, of course, there is the project out on US 60. It's a project that initially we scheduled for $4 million of the 5.5. With ADOT's cooperation, we brought it in for just over $2 million. So we saved a lot of money on this one. So in the 2017 loan, we did the High Street Maple Cottonwood Road. This has since had the excise tax and HERF applied, and this is all new pavement as well. We did the connections out at Crestline to make way to bypass the Crestwood booster and the Apache booster to save money in the long run. Yeah, this doesn't look like much here, but this is the future site of our Bonita Flats pump station, and so this is the area where that'll be is currently cleared off and ready to construct. And then, of course, the Crestline pump station. I wanted to show you the inside of that. That's got all new pumps, all new electrical, all new SCADA control. This is a brand new operation for us. This is quite a bit of control that we took over our water system right there. And we've also eliminated quite a bit of money as far as operational money for the Crestwood and Apache Peaks booster station that these pumps now replace. Okay, so, and why do we need to continue with the coverage? Well, guys, there's still more projects out there. You know, this is something we put together in about an hour today. But and Vince and Dave Kemp and I wrote this out, and it was eye-opening that I highlighted some of the areas that were right off the strategic council strategic projects that they would like to see done. You know, which is the Northeast sewer construction, the common line elimination, the manhole rehabs, the sewer study that we need for economic development, the replacement of the water line going out towards the fairgrounds, and then I continued well rehab so we don't have any mishaps out there. But none of these are prioritized, and I'm sure that had I let those guys stay in the office for more than 30 minutes, they would have come up with a 10-page list. But this is just a few areas, but it's needed. You know, it's totally up to council and the budget. I know we're in an era where money is really essential, but remember, this is enterprise. It runs well as long as we keep within the rules of the enterprise, and make sure that we have enough money out there that we can get to without digging into our contingent funds. So it's my new question mark.
Questions for Jerry? Ready?
Jerry, do you have any plans, or are there projects where the city's looking at tank inspections, rehabilitation, recoats, even rafter failures and things like that, just due to age and wear and tear? I didn't see anything.
We have a 5-year plan, Freddie, for the tanks and for the wells. The pumps is kind of a hit and miss, but in the pump stations we're down to what'll be 3 pump stations. So we do have a maintenance plan, and you know, it'd be nice to have this money as part of that plan.
I agree. That's why I'm asking that question. As you know, I'm in the same world, and I know that a single tank rehab could cost quite a bit of money, especially if we let the metalwork fail and get to a point where it has to be replaced.
So, and the one thing that concerns me, especially about the contingency money, is we have enough contingency money in our water fund to replace a well, and you know, that would cost us almost $2 million. If one of our primary wells went down without that contingency fund, we would be into the general fund, and I don't think anybody would like that. So I'm leery about spending that to improve infrastructure.
Thank you.
Questions?
So my thing today, I wanted to throw it out there to kind of get a vibe from the council on what they were thinking, and hopefully bring back a presentation with a rate increase or not, whichever way the council leans.
Jerry, I have a question.
Okay.
In 14, we got the 5.5 million with a 3 million forgivable. Was there a reason why we didn't get as high as a forgivable in 17 for a 3 million and we only got 750? Was that our ratio? Was that the infrastructure that we already corrected, or?
I think that I'm looking back here. So in 17, when we showed less of a need in 17 than we did in 14. The reason we did is the project that we picked in 14 affected the most people, and that was part of the WIPA thing as well. But we expected a lot more in 17, we just didn't get it. And a lot of that, if I'm right, Fernando, is availability of money also. In those years, there may not have been enough forgivable, but you know, we have been doing so good with WIFA that the WIFA people have people call us to get advice. So I mean, that's that just tells you what the city can do when they put their mind to it. Did I answer your question, Mayor?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, again, that the 1.2 is that threshold that keeps us viable. I believe there's a lot of discussions about what water revenue is going to look like through the pandemic. The unofficial number being thrown out is 15% reduction over the period of the pandemic. As you know, it's we're not shutting off water due to lack of payment because it's people are between jobs or are shut down or staying home. I don't think we'll see that much of a reduction in there, but that's kind of the number it's been throwing around is 15% over 6 months. That's why we'd like to, if we do anything, we'd like to do it in January and make sure we get past that hopefully by January things are somewhat back to normal. I think it'd be flawed to not talk about some type of rate increase going into January, but we don't know if that's going to be 15% or it's going to be 5%. You can always go back for a second rate increase if it's more than we thought, but it's hard to go back and you do a rate increase. Say we do 5, and we see a very very robust collections and our revenue doesn't drop. I would say that we either plan on doing 1 for 5% that starts in January, or do a 3.2 in January, then we look at it the next year and see if we have enough or if we need to tweak it some more. And that way we can at least be sure that we're not going to be overrated on over collecting, because we understand that even $32 a year, even $3 a month, to some people that means something to their checkbook and what they buy and how they do that. So it's the people's, we need to be very careful when we go and talk about raising increases, raising their rates for these core services. But we need to keep the quality. We need to keep the providing the resources up to speed, quality, keep our investments stout. So what I also, if you're going to increase rates, you want to kind of say what you're going to do with that. And so what I would like to do during this budget process is narrow the discussion to whether we do a 3.2% or 5%, and then what would we use that budget capacity to do? Which projects would we use that increase to pay for? It's one thing to say we're just raising your fees. Another thing to say we're raising your fees to bring this to the city and benefit you in this way. And so I'd like to see that discussion. We have a little bit of time because you would like to do the increase during, at the budget cycle. I think we can make the decision and start the process during the budget cycle and then have the timing, because there's a lot of notification that where the increase doesn't hit until January. So that's kind of the battle plan, is that we come back when we start the budget process and talk about either a 3.2 or 5% increase. I'd hate to see us go without any increase at all. And then with that capacity, either the 2.3 million capacity or the 3.4 million capacity, what would we put that to? What projects would you like to see us seek out from WIFA? And then go from there. So, and then if we, like say, if we do 3.2 and it turns out we had a rough 6 months or it went longer, I don't know what your feeling is. Do you want to do a 5% now and get it over with, or do you want to do a 3.2 with possibility we may have to come back to keep our standard? So that's kind of how I'm thinking of presenting this. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Do you have a question, Mayor?
Mayor?
We've got Mike first, Fernando.
I think it's imperative if we do a rate increase. I've been on the council for 6 years and I've answered this question for 6 years in a row. But I think it's imperative, if we are going to do an increase, that we supply the customers with information now prior to the rate increase, and then give them a list of things that our goals and what we're going to do with that money. I get asked all the time, why are we still paying WIFA loans?
Yeah.
And they don't understand. They understand what we're doing, but like the US 60 project was huge.
Yeah.
But to continually do this, they don't get it because they're not involved in council meetings every 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
I think that would be imperative to do that.
Yeah, so definitely we'll bring back whatever rate increase we bring back. We'll align what projects that those WIFA loans will go to pay if we use that capacity, or we raise the rates and we go soft on that. But I think we need to say what we're going to do with the money. And Mr. Mayor, I don't know if Councilman Shipley had a question.
Yeah, Fernando, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just a couple things. So back to, we want to be in a good position to use WIFA money if we're going to use any money. So in that one case, was that we borrowed $5 million and had $3 million forgivable. I mean, that's a 60% discount. So for the taxpayers of the city of Globe, that is the best deal going. I mean, you paid 40 cents on the dollar to improve your infrastructure. So yes, we have to raise the rates so that we have the debt coverage that we need, debt ratios that we need. But in essence, it's saving them a ton of money. We're able to do a lot more. And then the other thing I would consider is, at one point, WIFA was pretty much allocated only to potable water, right? So that you can get water supply to the people. But they also now loan more for storm water, also wastewater. And so those are two other topics that we really need to make sure. Because I know that if that McMillan Wash tunnel ever fails, we're screwed. And that is a lot of money that we're talking about there if we have to do anything there. I mean, I'm too young to been around, but I was told that Globe flooded quite frequently before that tunnel was built. And so there's a lot of stuff that we have to look at. And the most responsible way is to do it this way, to find the rate that we need to do and get it. And then I prefer to do it at one time than to just cut them every year and nick them and nick them and nick them. I just think, people can adjust to $10 or $8. But man, it's like if you do it every year, it just doesn't feel right. So my gut is to go for what we need out front and then hopefully do well and our budget does well and we can manage going forward for a little bit longer. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Fernando.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just a second. So first of all, to answer your question, Paul, we have to turn in a list of projects to WIFA if we apply for anything. So we would come up with a complete list of what we would use the money for. Fernando, they are getting a lot more forgivable money away for wastewater now than what they used to. It used to be, it was almost 10% of what they would give for drinking water. So that's why we kind of went with drinking water. But now that money has become more abundant, the forgivable is going up on the wastewater as well. And I believe that that our economic development and the future of the city would benefit a lot from us upgrading our capacity and figuring out exactly what we have and how we can improve things. I'm a construction engineer, so I would love to build projects. So I would love for you to put in a huge raise, but I realize that they can't do that. But I would also think that if you want a small raise, that we ought to continue to put that year after year after year in, just because we need to creep that number back up. I would really like to see us have the capacity again where we could borrow $10 million if we had to. Just my opinion.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, Jerry, what's the rate we get on this money? Jeannie was
2%.
2%. So we're getting, even when we do have to pay it back, we're getting it at a pretty good price. Although forgivable is much better than 2%, but still.
But a lot of the projects that we have had, we have done so good on them that on top of getting the forgivable money, we've brought these projects in by using city staff and city engineering for, 2/3 of what it would have cost if we would just send them out. And so WIFA is real pleased with that. And so I believe we would rate really high if we went back and asked for money in the area of the wastewater.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, is there any preference to which way we should go, or bring back two options of the 3.2 and 5? And
I have a comment. I think we really have to justify to our residents when we increase anything. And I'm not really convinced that we've shown we need 5%. And I would never agree to go with 3.2 and then 6 months later say, no, we made a mistake and now it's 5. I won't agree to that. I think 3.2 is, if we have to have an increase, I think that's reasonable. I don't think it's an excessive amount to expect anybody to pay. Everybody's doing what they have to right now these days. There's so many people in our community that are out of work, and they don't have the luxury of working from home or getting a guaranteed paycheck or whatever the case may be. So I would like to see no increase at all. I realize that's not in the city's best interest, and so therefore it's not in the residents' best interest, but I think we go with an absolute minimum and make it work. Make it work. We don't go to the people and say, sorry, we made a mistake, because nobody's telling them, sorry, here's a little more in your paycheck.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, so Councilman Giles, the reason we would go back for a second would be not because we made a mistake, but because we have a big question mark as to whether we're going to take a hit or not in revenue collection during the pandemic. And so the prudent thing would be to do the 5, knowing that we're going to have a hit. If you want to just tweak it, be a little bit more surgical, we would do 3.2 and then maybe come back with a 1.5.
I understand that, but that's your ideal maybe of a solution. There's plenty of other ones. I mean, in my opinion, we all cough up whatever it is we have to do. There's plenty of ways in the city, in the budget, to spend less, and I'll leave it at that.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, Councilman Giles, my only concern was the concept of making a mistake. It would just be a plan. It's if we went through 3.2 and had come back for more, it wasn't because of a mistake. It was because of just learning more knowledge.
No, I understand what you're saying, but from the taxpayer's point of view, they a whole lot of folks that live in my neighborhood would be saying, gosh, we've done without, whatever, all the ways people have sacrificed, and there are many. So the city has to too. That's just the way it is.
My comment is that we have continued to have aging infrastructure. We're an old city, and for us to ignore not upgrading our system, I think the projects from 2014 and 2017, look at the amount of work that was done, the infrastructure, and like Fernando said, the money you're getting, a lot of that is forgivable. That's free money. Well, it's not free money, but you don't have to pay it back. And then a 2% cost. And I understand people are struggling. And I think even without this pandemic makes it worse, because now we're struggling even more. But even without this pandemic, we would still be coming forward to ask for a utility raise, because we need to maintain that ratio in order to get that rate up. So, whether we do 3.2 or 5%, I think we should get both options. But a 5%, we haven't done a raise in which we should have been doing consistently on an annual basis since 2014, which would have kept us from doing a large one. I think we just can't ignore that we have a lot of projects that need to be done out there, and the more we plug into the WIFA money and not our savings, it will be beneficial to the residents. I think they would understand that if we explain it to them.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I agree with Fernando's point of view in stating that, just a one-time, here it is, rather than having to rip that Band-Aid off. To Councilwoman Giles' point of view, I mean, I'm of that mindset of, people don't always have that extra money to spend, but I think that if we educate them prior to budget cycle, So getting out that letter and telling them this is what we plan to do now versus waiting until the budget cycle is here. They can start preparing to get where they need to get in order to see what their bill is going to say. I mean, in putting this here, if you get a 5% increase and it's upping by $4 per 1,500 gallon usage, putting some real number such as that inside of their bill and letting them know this is what that 5% may look like, and getting them prepared for what that might be. I agree that we do have aging infrastructure, and we have to keep moving forward. We have got to. A paycheck's not always promised to me, but I can find other ways to make a paycheck. So I think that's what's best for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Mr. Mayor, to back up what Jesse just said about educating the public, anytime you're going to raise any kind of rate on your taxpayers, to me, the most important thing you do is you educate them. Okay? They have to understand why it's being done, because the first thing they're going to say is we don't need to see our taxes go higher. So we've got to really, really educate them. I think the process of maybe adopting the rate increase for like January, and then maybe later having to look at and see if we have to do it again, is a better process than adopting it right away, because right now there's so much unknown going on right now. We're not going to know where we're at, and we've got some pretty heavyweight projects out there that we want to get. And I think one of the most important one is getting that sewer line out to the east side of town, because that's where all the development's going to take place if we're going to grow. So it's something we need to look at, and it's key to explain to them about the WIFA letting us, what's it called?
The forgivable.
Forgiveness, the forgiveness part of the loan. If people get that information and they're able to understand it, it's going to make our job a little bit easier when we have to go for a rate increase, because they're going to see it, like you said, 40 cents on the dollar. I think Fernando said 40 cents on the dollar. You can't beat that, So I'm okay if you want to do 2 times. I'm okay if you want to do 1 time. It's whatever the board wants to do. But the most important thing is that we educate the taxpayers why we're doing it and how it's going to affect them.
Get them ready for it. Fernando?
Mayor, question. Yeah. So I got a question kind of for Jerry, I guess. In our prior projects where we invested money in our infrastructure to bring it up, did that yield cost savings and overhead? Because my thinking is if we're investing money to improve our system, does it then become more efficient?
It does. It does. There's a lot of infrastructure out there, though, to improve, and we have made a heck of a bite in it. We've taken a heck of a bite out of it. But we as of, for instance, we invested about almost $800,000 into the sewer plant. Now that's out of our capital improvement, and that's not out of WIFA and so forth. Now the reason being that is when we talked about doing this and when we went forward doing this, the forgivable was so low that it really wouldn't have paid us to do it. And but now things have changed. Now we are in a place where we need to look at those loans for our sewer improvements. We hopefully, if we go in with a small 3.2 or 5.0 rate increase, we can see some of that coverage come back up. My fear is with a 15% reduction in revenue, that would drop us down to a 1.06 coverage, which would be below what we have promised WIPA we would do. But there's ways to bring that up. As Charlene said earlier, we can cut back. We cannot do as much CIP. I hate to do that because I sent 2 crews out today on a water break. And so I know what we need to improve, and And we've got an area out on Jess Hayes that I believe that there's more joints in that than pipe. That's how many times we fixed it. And, you know, and it's one of our WIFA projects. We just haven't been able to get to it. So we're constantly improving things. There's nothing that we put in, whether it be pump or a skater or anything else that we don't look at the cost savings in energy and the cost savings in if we participate. We did a lot of the inspection work ourselves because we were able to do that, and we don't want to pay 9% out to a company to do that for us. So, I mean, we're always trying to improve. Anything we do, though, improves our system and improves going forward. But if we stop now, we're going to have part of the system that's still in danger.
Now, one of the other things I learned for being on the WIFA board is that any applicant can get a grant or a scholarship, basically, to do the due diligence, like to put forth the project. So without which would normally cost us money to come up with the scope of work, what we do, how we do it, when we do it, what materials we use, all of that. They have actually funding that you automatically get when you apply. So that's stuff that, regardless whether it's a wastewater project or a stormwater project or water, potable water, we should try to tap into that so that it helps us cover some of our overheads.
So there are money out there to scope projects and to develop projects. They are usually competitive, and they're more competitive if we have the ability to go forward with those projects. So we've utilized. It used to be only $35,000, Fernando, but now I know that they've raised that since. And now it's become more realistic.
Yeah.
But one of the things, if we went to sewer, I would want to talk to WIFA about would be to do some of this video of our sewer system to see what we have out there. And I'd also want to look at alternate ways to fix things. There's products that you can spray in manholes, so you don't have to replace them. You can just fix them right in place. And those are type of things that I'd like to look at in order to save money for the city. But we need to be able to move forward with a project on that. So, you know, if you notice on 2014, we jumped right out and spent the money because we had big projects to do. On 2017, we were a little more careful about where we spent the money. We still don't have Bonita Flats pump station done. Just because, you know, we got to the point where it was going to cost $700,000, and now we've gotten it down to almost half of that. So it's probably going to cost under $400,000. But it has to do a lot with our consultants and our engineering staff. So you can tell I'm kind of proud of the guys. So.
Freddie, you have a question?
Yeah, excuse me. I think something that gets lost in a lot of this, and it could be part of our education of the community is, you know, with aging infrastructure, and you touched on it, Jerry, about water breaks. You know, water loss is huge. It's a huge cost to our rate payers because they're already paying for the cost to produce that water and get it to their meter. If we can't keep the water in the pipes, one, we lose revenue because we can't sell it, and two, it's a cost that we can't sell. So that's an added cost to the overall rate paying base, where they're really not seeing the full scope of their earnings and their rates that they're paying. So I think it's important that we do attack this water loss. Water loss is a huge, in the water industry, is a huge damaging effect with ratepayers and the cost of producing water. I mean, it's not just pumping water, but you're treating it and all the labor and maintenance. So you put all those costs together, that's a significant amount of of cost savings if we can keep the water in the pipes going through the meter.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, may I ask Councilman Rios, where are you on the 1 increase versus 2 increase question?
I think we need a third one. No, I'm just kidding.
What's the third one?
Yeah.
Was it 1%?
Obviously, you know, I think there's an opportunity here if our staff is accurate, that there's WIF money out there and that there are probabilities of larger than historically in the past forgivables. I think we need to marker that, make some sort of a marker to reach those goals. I just, you know, whatever number that is. But in the end, when you roll it all out, when you do the cost savings and the cost, it's going to be a benefit. Free money, I mean, you never hear of free money, but we've experienced it. So I think we need to take those opportunities.
Thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I think I have enough information to bring this back. I think we'll just go ahead and bring it back in 2 weeks, but we'll play out the 3.2 and the 5, do an extensive chart as to the cost per month and per year, the different categories, and maybe some 15,000 gallon, 30,000 gallon, 10,000. We'll look at some different points so you can get a better thought there. And I know that we have to put in, when we do a WIF alone, we have to name the projects, but I think that we should talk at the same time about how much we're getting, about what projects we need, because it may be that, if we have 2 really good projects, we want to make sure we get enough to get both of those. And then I think the education is really important. And then the education of, does it benefit me? I mean, does this project actually make my plumbing, my sewer, my house more valuable or more functional or higher performing or more reliable? And not only, what we're using on, but how it may benefit individual ratepayers. And so we'll put that, and thank you, we have it narrowed down now, kind of the questions, and come back and compare those 2 rates with those 2 amounts and a menu of projects, and then see if we can come to a plan to go forward. And while we won't implement it until January, I think it's important when we look at the whole budget holistically that these water sewer rates are key to how we make decisions through the whole process.
Okay, next we go to consent calendar. Matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by 1 motion and 1 vote. Public hearing items are designated with an asterisk. Prior to consideration of the consent agenda, the mayor will ask whether any member of the public wishes to remove a public hearing item for separate consideration. Members of the council and/or staff may remove any item for separate consideration. Item A, consideration of waiver of section 2-4-10 prior discussion rule to allow action on the balance of the consent agenda. Item 1, accounts payable, $341,280.92. Item 2, consideration of approval of council minutes. A, regular council minutes for February 11, 2020. B, consideration of agreements and purchases less than $25,000. C, consideration of April building permits. D, consideration of projects pending procurement. E, consideration to approve the fiscal year 1920 third quarter distribution of bed tax funds in the amount of $5,211.46 to the Gila County Historical Society from account number 10-51-51925 General Fund Community Organizations Bed Tax. And F, council consideration to use the Iglesia de Cristo donation for upfit of alternative response vehicle for Globe Fire. Do we have anybody from the public, the council, or staff that would wish to remove any of these items?
If not, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, and note how well you said the Iglesia D, what have you. Well done there.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion, a second for approval of consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Aye.
Any abstaining? Motion pass. New business, item 5A, discussion and consideration to enter into a new annual retainer agreement with Siegel Consulting for the period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2023 at an annual rate of $32,000, which has been budgeted in account number 10-55-51225 General Fund Administrative Consultants. Paul.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the Siegel Group is our insurance broker. They have a long history with us. I believe that they were first began working with the City of Globe during Fernando Shipley's period as mayor. We've since I've been here, they've been very responsive and helping us through a lot of issues through the whole, government, getting involved in healthcare, then whiplashing, getting out of healthcare. We're probably one of their smaller clients. They cater to a larger group, but they've been very responsive. This is just to renew their contract for $32,000 a year. It's not increasing, my understanding.
It is, excuse me,
is it
it's
by-
increasing 500, which is very reasonable.
Okay, 500.
Their last contract for 3 years was 31.5.
Okay, so yeah, very, and they've been very helpful. I think they've helped us from save money. They've helped us go to RFP looking for making sure we have the right provider, and we will have them back. We will have to adopt the final paperwork on the insurance for Blue Cross Blue Shields. And I know Councilman Shipley had a question about making sure that Siegel goes to bat for us against, not against, but with Blue Cross Blue Shield to make sure that the rural area has providers, that we have additional providers, choice in providers, and them being a larger company and having more, input, representing more people, they have a little bit bigger hammer they can pick from. And Councilman Shipley, we will have Rachel or Amy back to we can have that conversation again. I know we sent some information out and we shared with them on the phone today that was our wishes, that the rural providers, that we able to line up more people that we can use, if I get that straight. But we will have them back, I think, on as we adopt the budget. So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, unless you have any questions about that, they were available, but I did not line them up to speak on this. I felt comfortable on this, but it's his first read also. If you did have any questions for him about the contract or anything, we can get them lined up, but we'll have to bring this back in 2 weeks. So this would be a motion to move it forward to the next available meeting.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Fernando.
Paul, thanks for promotion, but I was just a lowly councilman at the time, just like I am now. But one of the things that Siegel Company was really able to do for us is they were able to leverage, they represent probably close to 1 million lives. So when they come to the negotiating table, they're able to really get a much better deal than we would with 90 people. And at that time, we were the first city that they ever partnered with. They were really leery about doing it, and we were way smaller than any group they would ever go after. So they took the plunge, took us on, and we saved tremendously because we were actually brokering through a private insurance agent to try to get our rates at that time. And so we saved a ton of money. And I just feel like Siegel's really kept up their end of the bargain. So I just feel really comfortable with what they've done and what they continue to do for us.
Thank you, Fernando.
Thank you.
We have a motion to move this forward?
Motion made, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move this item forward to the next meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Item B, consideration of council to approve submission of 2 applications by the Globe Library to the Arizona State Library Stay Connected CARES Act Funding Opportunities Grant. These are non-matching grants that would provide the Globe Library with germ busting kit, freestanding hand washing station, and security cameras with a value of $4,000. Staff also requests council to waive section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule. Adria.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor and council members. The Arizona State Library Archives and Public Records Division has been allotted $657,694 of coronavirus aid relief and economic security, aka CARES Act funding, to be used as grant opportunities for libraries throughout Arizona. One of the opportunities is the CARES Express grant, and the deadline to apply is May 15th. This grant is for germ buster kits that will be purchased by the state library. The kits include sanitizers, disinfectant wipes, masks, gloves, and other safety gear when supplies are available, and they're estimating that to be in June. The grant is non-matching, and it does not have a specific dollar amount assigned. And then the second grant is the CARES Expanded Grant. And so this grant is for a Safety for Patrons project. It entails purchasing equipment for patron safety, such as a freestanding hand washing station, sneeze guards, and the opportunity to expand our outdoor camera system from 2 cameras to 4, which would give us visual coverage of the front of the building as well as the picnic side of the building. Applicants will be awarded $4,000 to complete the project, and again, the grant is non-matching, and the deadline to apply is May 22nd. So thank you for your consideration, and are there any questions?
Shirley?
Adria, I don't have a question, just a comment. Thank you for finding out about this and going after this, because as we frequent the library know, that picnic area side of the library with the no cameras is a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Mike?
Adria, how many germ buster kits are you going to be able to get?
They didn't tell us. It's just they have a certain amount of money, they being the state library, and so they're going to buy. I have no idea how many, and then disperse them out to the different libraries that get awarded the grant. So they don't even have a set number to tell us right now.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, so funny story is the COVID team, we want to be aware of anything COVID going on within the city. And so Adrian, I sent out some kind of notification that if you got a COVID related thing, make sure you run it through the team. And she was worried. And so we got it on the agenda because we meet twice a day, and we all looked at it. It's like, okay, free germ busting kits and no match, and she did all the work, and we're like, yep, that's good, we're good. So thumbs up from the team. Thank you for just what you do, which is you got like radar looking for things that you can pull in and bring value and bring benefit to the city and the library. So thank you.
Thank you, Adria, for finding that and applying for it.
Well, I move that we accept or we go ahead and give authorization for this, and that we waive the rules so she can apply immediately.
Second.
Yay!
We have a motion and a second for approval of the grant application. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Adria.
Thank you.
Item C, acceptance of donated ballistic vests for Police K-9 Officer Aries through the Vested Interest in K-9s Incorporated. Grant program valued at $2,283 and request to waive section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule. Chief Walters.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. I have a very active group of people looking for grant opportunities, and sometimes I'm in the loop and sometimes I'm not. This would be one of those times that Cody Hudson, who's done a great job with the K-9 program, had actually reached out to some of his peers in the K-9 group that he worked with and was able to identify this vested interest in K-9's Inc. group that has grant opportunities and donation opportunities for canines working in the field. We've been awarded a custom fit vest for Aries once the council accepts it, and then they'll build it to fit, and we should have it in a couple of months, and we'll bring Aries with his new or her new ballistic vest in to meet the council. Sorry.
So I have a comment about all this. First of all, when we first got Aries, his name wasn't Aries, his name was Hippie, and I thought we should leave his name alone. But they did not, the police department chose to change it. So that said, Aries is a tough dog. He's a big, rather intimidating young man. And I think he could hold his own no matter what, but I would love to see him get this bullet and stab proof vest. So I'd like to move that we go ahead and ratify this.
Second.
We need to add waive the rules.
Yes.
It's on.
Okay, we have motion and a second to approve the donation request and then waive the rules for acceptance today. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Congratulations, Chief.
And thank Officer Hudson for reaching out and doing this. That's great. He took that initiative.
I will. Thank you, ma'am.
Item D, discussion and possible approval of the Healy County intergovernment agreement, which would employ 2 summer interns with the City of Globe through the 2020 Summer Youth Program, and ask to waive Section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule. Shelley.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and Council. For the past 2 years, the City Council has approved an IGA in partnership with Gila County to employ interns within our organization. I believe for the last 2 years we employed 4 interns. The county absorbed the cost for the first 2, and then City Council approved to fund the second 2. This year staff is asking council to again approve thank you, Danny, this IGA with Gila County, and we're requesting 2 interns this year to help. We have plenty of departments. Well, I think the library.
Yeah, library is looking to put them to work. We went kind of back and forth, Mr. Mayor, members of council, on this. I think, last time we had money, I think about $6,100 we put towards this. This year we were bringing this forward just for the 2. It's not only the money, but I also believe that we do get good volunteers, and there are some places we can use them, but it is kind of a chaotic time where people are working from home, people are doing split locations, A team, B team, and so I felt that it would be might be difficult trying to place them in a meaningful place that we could use them, and so we brought this forward just with the county match on that, and that's where we are with why we're doing 2 and not 4.
Mr. Mayor,
You got a question?
I think this is a fantastic program. I'd like to keep it up, keep it going as much as possible. If we could do 4, that'd be awesome, but if we can only do 2.
Well, I will tell you that we, the money has been held back. We can bring that forward if you'd like. I'm not exactly sure how we would place the additional 2. We have 2 places in the library, and a lot of times we try to find out what they want to do and then put them there. One time we did have them out at Public Works. I know sometimes we have them here at City Hall, but right now that probably wouldn't work with doing that. But I think
Okay,
Giles has
I can hardly bite my tongue.
Okay.
We have no DOC workers. We are down a huge amount, 9 people in Public Works because we have no DOC workers. $6,000 in the grand scheme of our budget is negligible. It truly is. And what we get, so we have hired, the background of this too is that we have hired people that have worked through this internship program in Public Works, have then become employees of the city. This is, to me, is a no-brainer. And last year we paid $12,200 out of our budget. The county paid $12,200 out of their budget. I think we should hire 2 more at $2,000, $1,200, but I would just be quiet if we could get 1 for Public Works at $6,100. There is so much work that needs done. If we send a young person out there with just a weed eater and that's all they do all summer, the guys don't have time to do the weed eating. They've got all these other things to do. We are just up against the wall with lack of help in Public Works.
Well, and Mr. Mayor, members of council, if it's council's pleasure to revamp this and add 2 additional positions, like I know the county's willing, and we would fund them out of the money that we do have. We did set aside money for this right now, so we do have the budget capacity. It's council's call.
So
Mike? Oh, go ahead.
I would just love if we had 2, but I would just, again, be quiet if we got 1 for Public Works.
Mike?
My only question being, the employees coming from the county are going to be less than 18 years old, correct?
No, they're not coming from the county. The county's paying.
But they're selected. They're
selected through.
They're selected through the county.
Right, but they're not county employees.
No,
Yeah.
I know, but what I'm getting at is, if they're younger than 18, aren't they going to need to have adult supervision with them? And right now, we don't really have 2-man crews.
I think I believe that if they were 17 and they wanted to work in Public Works, I think we could make that happen. We could match them up with a
Let me speak
a senior person.
This is something I do know about. We are not allowed to let them on a mechanical piece of equipment, such as a backhoe, such as a
I'm not worried about
lawnmower.
that. I'm just-
Can we send them out with a weed eater? Oh, heck yeah.
Well, and I'm just thinking about this right now. A lot of times when they're 17, there's a problem with them being commingled with DOC workers, but they're no DOC workers. So then you don't have that conflict where they can't.
That's fine with me.
So I think they definitely could be there. It would be the right persons. There's some we would send them out with and some. But no, I think if they want to, I know sometimes that, it depends if they want to be that outside working type person or they want to, it depends on who they recruit.
Can we ask that?
Oh, yeah, no.
Can we ask for specific, we want 2 for the library and we want 2 for the Public Works?
So if somebody came to the table and said they wanted to learn city clerk position, then Shelley could get an
Yeah,
intern.
and Shelley couldn't, but
Probably not. in
it
this-
depends on when we bring. I know that, Shelley, do we know the start date of this program? Because
It's in June.
right is in June. So yeah, I think nothing's changing in May, but in June we may be more staffed here, and she could, so it's pretty much, it's pretty desolate in City Hall. I know. It sounds like this is council's pleasure, and I'm happy to go back and get 2 more and try to find
Okay, so
good
moved
fits.
as stated.
So that money was budgeted already for the.
Yeah, it's and like I say, it was earmarked to be saved, but we still have legally we have the ability to just to write the check because it was in the initial budget. We showed you what we'd like to retrieve back, but that's a moving target because we don't know. It's still, if this is council wishes, it's easy to do.
So then we're approving then for 4 now?
No,
Or do you want us to move
I
this
think you
forward?
would give direction to modify the contract to do 4, and is this?
Depends on,
You want us to
depends on the
waive the-
motion.
Till June, so.
I will amend my motion to state that we have 2, we have 4 total, 2 to be paid for through Gila County and 2 to be funded by the City of Globe.
And make the modifications and approve the city manager to make any modifications.
As stated.
Okay,
Second.
okay,
You got to waive the rules on that.
and waive the rules.
Yes, as stated.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, we have motion and a second to modify the contract and to hire 4 instead of 2. 2 being paid by the county, 2 by the city.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, members of council, just real quick, I did get a text from HR department that they need to be 18 in Public Works.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have detail. Let me double check on
You
that,
can
but,
state
So we
that.
can
Yeah.
see how old this.
yeah, but, what's that?
We can see how old the applicants are.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, there's a different category for, I know we've had 17-year-olds here, but I think because of the equipment and the nature of the work, but I know they have all the way up to 21-year-olds that are available. Okay. So,
Request, yeah, make sure that we request at least 2 18-year-olds that could
Yep.
work in Public Works area. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? I guess we're lost for, any abstaining? Motion passed. Item E, discussion to review intergovernmental agreement number 022420 with Gila County, whereby Gila County will provide law enforcement dispatch services for the city of Globe and an annual fee of $246,462. Funds have been budgeted in account 10-56-51238, General Fund Fire Dispatch Contract, and account number 10-57-51238, General Fund Police Dispatch Contract. So we have Chief Walters and Chief Robinson.
Mr. Mayor, we're going to start with Chief Robinson, since he's appearing up on the screen. And I don't know if he knows that.
I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
good evening, Mayor and Council. Going back to 2015 was the initial contract that we entered into with Gila County that formed the regional dispatch center for the entire area. Over the course of that time, we've worked on the fire side to achieve some of the major goals that we were looking at with that merger and that contract. Some of those goals were having the area fire agencies operate off of a single channel with common communications, so that we weren't trying to operate off two separate channels and having to switch around when we responded with any of the other agencies. We looked at a lot of our computer-aided dispatching. We went through some stuff early on to get that in place and have upgraded that system on the fire side to incorporate a little bit more resilient system that gives us the ability to do pre-plans in the field, that gives us the ability to track where responders are, who's responding, and that we've made some strides in terms of where that contract has gone and what the services are that are provided. We've also faced some challenges with that, and we try to work through those. It can be very easy when you have a larger incident for 2 to 3 dispatchers to become very overwhelmed, and that sometimes proves challenging in the environment where we're trying to communicate and get information out. But we have seen where we can make some improvements, and we continue to work with the leadership at Gila County on the fire side to try and gain some of those improvements, to try and get to where we want to be. Some of that, their cooperation as far as COVID-19 and some of the dispatching requirements that we've asked them to meet. They've done a pretty good job of keeping us informed of situations that our personnel may be entering into that relate back to COVID-19, so that we can plan, so that we can have the appropriate PPE. On the fire side, I think it is our best option. It provides us the best opportunities to it helps our ISO. It gives us better staffing than what we traditionally had the early parts of my career, and I think going forward, I think there's probably some conversations that I'd like to have regarding the ability to provide some input, the ability to do that. But Gila County has been pretty open. I'd just like to have maybe some goals set as we go forward with the next renewal, to add into that discussion potentially.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, any questions for Chief Robinson before we go to Chief Walters? Okay. Chief?
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Coming up to a regional dispatch center was something new for me. But what I found is, as Chief Robinson has mentioned, that the county's been very open with trying to work with us and solve issues as they arise. Having managed a very large and busy dispatch center with the city of Chandler, I've been exposed to some of the challenges that these centers can absolutely have. And I would agree with Chief Robinson that this is the best for us right now. It's really in these regional areas like this, having a regional dispatch center is the best outcome or the best use of our resources at this time, particularly with the willingness for Adam Shepard and his group to work with us. Right now, the PD has been meeting on a monthly basis. We actually have somebody assigned to a working group with dispatch to address ongoing issues that come up, and they come up on both ends. They have a methodology, as the mayor knows, that there is a process for dispatching, and every entity is a little bit different. So we've had to make some adjustments. They've made some adjustments for us. And I think it's worthwhile continuing this partnership with them. And then, like any agreement, we want to revisit it every now and then to make sure it's working the best for each entity involved. But right now, my recommendation is to continue and move forward.
So I just have a comment. I would like also to note that there's no increase in this contract amount, and we thank the county very much for that.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, yes, this is a great partnership. Like every partnership, you work through it, but the economy of scale, the efficiency, it just makes sense. We're lucky to have Gila County, Globe, the county seat for Gila County, and have this availability.
No other questions or comments, Mayor. I motion to move this forward to the next council meeting for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move this item to the next meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
Next, we go to action items. We have 6A, discussion and possible approval of EarthQuest Plumbing LLC change order number 1-4 to contract number GS-2020-0012 Haskins Road Common Line decommission in the amount of $14,173.23. Jerry.
Jerry, I'm sorry.
I don't see him on.
There you go.
Hello, Fernando.
Can't hear you, Jerry.
Jerry, can you
Unmute.
No, he's not on.
Now?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay,
Now we can
sorry.
hear your lovely voice as well as see your handsome face.
I know, and my best words already came out. So these are actually 4 change orders, Mayor. The first of the change orders is for a repair on our 80-inch sewer main. We had about 3 feet of the main compromised when they made the tap. And so it was unforeseen that we had to pay them. We supplied the material for them. The labor was for $919.60. Change order 2 was at the very end of Haskins Noriega project. We were going to take the very last house and leave it tied into the main. The problem is the very last house, the lateral was broke. So change order 2 addresses that. So we had roots and everything in that, and we had to put a brand new 6-inch existing or 6-inch about 10 feet long at the end. The total price, it also had a manhole or a clean out rather that we had to replace. This change order is for $4,953.40. Change order 3 is as we did the video on the road to figure out where to tie in onto our existing main to tie these common lines in so they could have their own laterals. We discovered that 2 of our manholes were one was under a sidewalk and one was under the road so far that we had trouble locating it. So change order number 3 addresses bringing these up to grade on the road itself and the sidewalk. And it's for the amount of $2,523. Change order number 4 was we had priced out replacing the manhole as part of the original contract because we were going to have our contractor do it. But the contractor that was doing the Noriega job gave us a price to do the area we're down below where the other 5 laterals were tied in the other project. So the price for that was $5,800. Our price was almost $10,000. So win-win. We wrote change order number 4. So all in all, change order 1 through 4 brings us to $58,573.23. Original budget was $60,000. We're under our original budget for the CIP item. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, if there's no other questions.
I have
You
a
have a question?
comment.
Go ahead.
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. So first of all, this all is in my district, and my goodness, what a mess. So I'd like to start by thanking the Noriegas, the Perezes, the Stidhams, and anybody else I've forgotten that has been dealing with this issue for years. EarthQuest Plumbing did an awesome job. Our own Vince Mariscal from the city was on that job every day, and believe me, I was checking it out every day they were over there. They did it well. It's finished. It's very well done, and we just need to thank everyone involved, especially the property owners. And every one of these change orders, in my opinion, is very fair amount for what the work that was done there.
So, and what a perfect time to have a contractor out on the job when we're shorthanded. So thank you, Tim Moss.
Hey, Jerry, on some of these projects here, do we put a contingency amount above 5% or 10% like we do other projects, or is this?
Now, we did on the original contract, but the CIP item was for $60,000. We couldn't hardly add to that because that was what was approved in the council in the budget. So it did come under the $60,000. So this is the last invoice, $58,573.23. So party time with the other 1,500.
Ready.
Go ahead, Jim. You got a question, Freddie?
Yes,
Yes, go
thank
ahead,
you. So Jerry, knowing what we've seen here, can we anticipate that future projects within the sewer, the common line sewer projects that we're going to be working on in the future, can we anticipate that we would see similar kinds of events happening? Once you dig it up, you really find what you have.
Yeah, unfortunately, as you know because you're in the business too, That's absolutely what it is. Once you dig it up, you're going to find 6 places where we've tapped into it and so forth. So it's gonna be bad. But there's alternate ways to deliver projects. If we get into the I'm going back to the WIFA item now. If we get into the WIFA projects and things like that, then we can put these out with JOCs, and that way there's items there to fix these.
Yep. Good plan. All right, thank you, Mayor.
So this is 10 of the common lines, the connections, the 2 common lines, 10 connections that we've taken care of this year.
All right, we're on a roll.
Off to a good start.
So, well, I mean, if you think about it, our commitment was to do 1 common line this year. We've done 2 and gotten 10 people off. So, and these were tough ones too, because they were on a hill and running in the backyard, and we took all of them out to the front yard.
Good deal.
Good.
Jerry, there's more where those came from.
I think. It's called job security, Paul.
A motion to approve change orders numbers 1 through 4 to Earthquist Plumbing LLC, contract number GS 2020-0012, Haskins Road Common Line decommission in the amount of $14,173.23.
We have a motion and a second to approve change orders 1 through 4. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item B, consideration of council to possibly approve applications and appoint up to 5 individual Globe residents to serve on the City of Globe Board of Adjustments as established in the City of Globe City Code Section 14-2-3B. This section would supersede any prior action of council appointment to act as a Board of Adjustment.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we brought this forward. I know that we're actively working day by day to line up possible appointees, and so I didn't want to have the option to strike while the iron's hot. I know that just talking tonight, you have some more people that you're working with, and so I don't think we're ready to appoint tonight. As you work through some of these, but I did talk to in communicating on our projects. We still have time to come back in 2 weeks and get people on board and still meet our deadlines that we need. So, and Mayor, if you, I know that
to the next one, I do have four yeses, and I will check I'll give those names and see which districts are in. I do have 1 no from the original application process, and 2 that I'm still waiting on a call back. Yeah. So we have a total, we need 1 more if we have the 4 right now.
Swear. So when I was doing my outreach, I had spoke to less than a handful of people, but recently one of those has returned my visit and said that they would be interested in helping out in the city government in committees. So if you're looking for another one, we may have another candidate.
I'm definitely looking for another one. I'd like to get, have at least, like I said, I have 4 right now. I don't know if I have that 5th one yet. I'm still waiting on some callback. Okay. So if I can get that name from you, I'll call them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And how about an alternate? I had one of my contacts that said they would be an alternate. They didn't want to really sit on the committee, but they would be an alternate member.
Let me have that name too, and I will call them. And I gave them just a basic description of what they're supposed to do, and I told them we'd bring them in and talk to them and give them a more detailed description of. But these 4 were definitely interested, and if we can get a couple of more, it'd be great.
I too, Mr. Mayor, have one of my
Good.
districts that's interested.
Okay.
I don't know if you've reached out to them or not, but.
I'll show you the list I have.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, I know that there are many people out there watching, so if you've been thinking about a way that you can put your toe into the water of city government and would like to have a wonderful spot on the Board of Adjustments of the City of Globe, we are now taking applications. It's on the website. You can contact your local council member or the mayor, and they would be happy to walk you through the process and make sure that find if it's a good fit for you. So
now we're going to just be stormed with people.
It's, call now. Phones are open.
Call now.
No, we do.
As
It's,
seen on the screen.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is an important part of the city government. The county has a board of adjustments. It's a way for an appeals process through our zoning. As we ramp up, we are going to have more need for this, and so we need a good group of committed people that can take a little bit of time out of their day or their evening and help us with these projects. I'd be happy to give them more information. And a couple council members had asked me about a one-page information sheet. In the agenda item, the last page, information description of Arizona Board of Adjustments, is a generic one-page description. That's probably the best description we have. And so you can share that. And Mr. Mayor, I'm here to support you in your efforts to seek out, individuals. Should be the last page, not the one with the yellow.
It's 60.
Okay. So by next council meeting, we should have enough names on there.
Yes.
But I'd like to share those names with the council in the next week, so
Yes.
as I make contact and who actually said yes.
Just to clarify to everyone, the process is that the mayor makes the appointments and the council votes to approve his appointments. So the mayor brings them forward. They're your appointments, but with the positive vote of council. So it is a group.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor? Just so you know, I sent you the text, the information.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we move this forward to the next available council meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move this forward for approval for the next meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed.
These are my top three.
Item C, the council may discuss and possibly adopt recommended guidelines for acceptance of public comments during virtual council meetings.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, we had this discussion last week, and then or 2 weeks ago, we went back and based on the notes and some notes from the meeting and what we had talked about and came forward with the set of guidelines, updated recommended guidelines for accepting public comment during virtual council meetings. It's the one dated May 27th, 2020. And there's, again, this is something new that we've done, and we were early on doing this. We had the capacity to do this, but based on, and hopefully got this right, based on everybody's comments from the last time we met, we'll be accepting public comments through the council at globeaz.gov throughout the meeting. We didn't have any, I think, for the first call to the public. We now have one for the second call to the public that we're waiting to read. Need to have full name, and if you reside in the area, and it's the mayor's prerogative to monitor this. It's one of those things where if in a normal, and when we put this together, we tried to think, okay, what power does the mayor have when somebody walks up to the podium? You should have the same power when they email in, so that they, what was I going to say? So if they're repetitive, if they go too long, you can say, you can work on that. If it's something that is where you attack somebody, the preview on our agenda says personal attacks will not be qualified, and that person can respond to those personal attacks. So if we read something and it calls out, council member XYZ, that council member can respond to that. So we'll treat them very much like everyone else. We also, for the accepting of public comments to speak to the item, in that respect, that is a back and forth conversation. And in that respect, if somebody says, okay, I want to talk about the sewer lines on Haskins, and I want to tell you a story, and then you ask questions and you go back. That's why the phone number would be helpful, and allow that same back and forth that we would have. I think this is maybe where we wanted to add I don't know if you want to do a text. I know there's a comment about adding a phone number that people could text for either call the public or accepting comments to speak to the item. The third set Again, we want to make sure that these are sent to the council number, I'm sorry, the council email address, and communicated through the single channel. We would have the problem with if council gets any of these information, you should either direct them to email the main number or direct them or just forward it to the main council at globeaz.gov. But this all has to be before the meeting because of the problem of open meeting law violation. If you're texting or forwarding individuals in the public, people are commenting, that is an open meeting law violation as described by our attorney, Bill Sims. And so with that, we have that, the third bullet on that third set, to avoid providing enhanced access to any one individual and to maintain open meeting law compliance, council members will not read or respond to texts or emails during the meeting. And so that's part of that policy. The fourth part, comments that are ineligible at a council meeting, comments sent directly to a council member during a council meeting, comments on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, comments posted on a public forum at any time. I don't think we want to go down the path of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and I know they get on there and do that. Now, we are looking at staff who does monitor our Facebook page to deal with that. Not Danny, but staff that normally manages Facebook to help manage Facebook and help manage the live feed on Twitter, because it is kind of distracting, and some questions are technical and some questions are just they're just questions. But that would be relevant for what we're doing here. That would be staff kind of watching out for that. The formal channel is what council says the formal channel is, and right now we're talking about council at globeaz.gov. At the last one, I didn't put a lot of framework on it. Accepting of comments during an advertised town hall meeting, we don't have that many of them. I think that the next time we have one of those meetings, when we call the meeting, we lay out what we want to do. I think that, I could put some things we learned. I think if we do another meeting, we just have that option to set the tone for what we think to expect. If we're going to get 100 comments, then maybe we limit the comments by time factor. Maybe we put up some additional technology, bring on additional staff. I left it very vague on the town hall meeting. I think that one's kind of a work in progress, and we have to see what works. We had a successful town hall meeting. I think we can change that up. So that's the policy as it stands right now, and so I'm looking for comment and direction from council.
I'll open it up for comments on this subject here.
Nobody has a comment? Well, I sure do. Okie dokie. This is my comment. So I disagree that there is no enhanced access. Our phone numbers, our addresses, everything are published publicly. I have people come to my home all the time on a Sunday afternoon at 9 at night, whenever their issue is. So I totally disagree with that it's enhanced access to any one of us if they are texting or calling us or what have you. Secondly, at a meeting where the public is present, if something comes up and they want to speak at the second call to the public, that's why we have that at the end of the meeting, because this did happen where we only had one call to the public at the beginning of the meeting, then there were issues, and then the folks couldn't speak. There was no other opportunity for them to. So that's why this council, it started the second call to the public. So if we are trying to maintain the quality of the meeting, or the permission that the folks would have to speak if they were here in person, to tell them they're not allowed to email or text during the meeting, they are now, that now is being taken away from them. So I disagree with that. I think if we get a text or an email, we should be able to forward it. If we aren't allowed to read it, we should be able to forward it to the mayor. And I will bring up, one individual had sent in 4 emails and none of them got read. And they were very upset. And I understand that. If we're asking for public comment and then we're picking and choosing, that's not what we should be doing. That's my take.
Comments?
I don't see why it's a problem for you to take the comment from a constituent and forward it to the mayor.
Because it says we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to take, they're not allowed to email or text anything.
It says, council members may forward any comments they receive prior to the meeting.
Prior.
Okay.
So when something comes up during the meeting, which often happens, which very often happens.
All right, so just put or during the meeting.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, the thought being that if you're going to forward a comment, you're going to probably look at the comment, and you will have the comment, that person will have access. And let's say you forward it to the mayor chooses for whatever reason not to read that, and then you have knowledge, but no other council member has knowledge that the mayor is the one doing the call on that. And so I would say that. Now, what I would like to do is I am getting advice from our attorney. If you would like us to bring forward Bill Sims, so you can, he is a statewide, he teaches compliance with open meeting law to elected officials as a part of the league. Be happy to get him Zoom. We got him trained in Zoom, and have him the next meeting and have you, we can, look deeper into what he's telling me, and you can hear it straight from his mouth, and then talk about these scenarios and see how they fit. I think that would be a more better use of our time.
So
And I agree with that. I think we need to look at that because I think if they're going to do the call to the public, the first one, they can do it prior to the meeting. They can also do it prior to the meeting if they're going to talk to the subject. But if they have the second call to the public, something that comes up, they may want to comment on it. So I think we need to have some kind of access that they can either email or call in or do something for the second call to the public.
Well, and they can email, and we can have a staff phone. Staff is allowed to text during meetings, talk about issues that are on the agenda. We get a lot of texts on like, can you hear this, or I'm getting facts and things like that. The problem with open meeting law is if you're having conversation with somebody outside the scope of the meeting on a one-on-one conversation on a topic that we're talking about, that's where we get into problems. But the nature of these texts or emails are comments that they want to have shared. And then there's so I would much rather, I think everyone would feel more comfortable if we heard from our city attorney, Bill Sims.
And I think we don't spend no more time on this, but I think we should have a designated phone that some of our staff member is getting that message, not us, but a staff member, that they can forward it to my iPad and we can read those comments. That way we stay out of the mix of any them having access to us directly in order to make the comment.
Mr. Mayor, I totally agree with that. We can reach out and say, well, it's okay because I'm doing this, and I think what we're getting away from here is the inconsistency of what we do in public. We don't have the audience sign a note saying they want to join in call to the public and hand it to Vice Mayor Stapleton to give to you. There's the process is that it goes to the city, the manager, the clerk, and there's a process to route those kinds of communications. Here we do this in public in writing, but then we're talking about when we use text and telephone that we want to now somehow circumvent that process. And I think we're going down a very slippery slope when we do that.
And the open meeting law does cover communications that way, and it is pretty critical when it becomes email and texting to individual elected officials.
Yeah.
We could get in trouble. They can actually fine you for it, I believe.
Yeah, and you lose legislative liability.
Yeah. So we need to watch that too. So
I agree. I think we should have Bill Zoom.
Yeah. No, these are good questions. I think
so we
Bill,
at least know so he can explain to everybody openly. Not all of us are familiar with that. Also,
I just think we're in unprecedented times.
Yeah.
So things are fluid, things are changing, and we need to be up to date on what it is and how it looks. I mean, what other communities are doing, and go from there.
And it's a process we're working through.
Sure.
We've never met like this before.
No.
So,
So,
I agree. I mean,
yeah, we learned a lot in the town hall. We're learning every meeting. So, and I will put that on the next agenda and get him, and Zoom appearance. Okay.
But our process will go forward with them being able to still do it
right.
the way we do it. The only question we have is a second call to the public that have a phone or something going to our clerk that would.
So we will continue with call the public first and second, email through council, and then speak to the item, send us a phone number, which we've gotten already for an item about to come up here. And so we'll continue with that plan since we believe that is where the direction council's going.
and move this
we
to
need
the
to
next
try it.
meeting?
What's that?
I'll move this to the next meeting then.
Yes, so we'll just table this and move it with direction to ask for a presentation by Bill Sims.
Motion to table and move forward.
Second.
We have motion and second to table this item to the next meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you. So we have a late agenda item, and we have consideration to approve the Historical Preservation Advisory Commission's recommendations for the sign permit and base paint color for the bouquets on Broad Street building located at 610 North Broad Street, and provide feedback to staff on administration policies for sign permits within Historic Preservation District, and request to waive section 2-4-10A prior discussion rule.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, we had a project, Bouquet on Broad Street. We moved it through those historical preservation district projects need to get council approval from recommendations from the Historical Preservation District. We were able to make this happen really quick. That's why we're putting on the late agenda. And I should ask my question to all is council okay with hearing this late agenda item? Any concerns
Yes.
about? Okay, all right, because we always have a chance to reject that, and the mayor asked us to be on the late agenda. So, Mayor, do you want you were part of the historical preservation, so I think if you want to, Michelle's available, but I think you were there. If you want to speak to the request and what we're approving here.
Yeah, initially this was brought forward to me by Jonelle at the end of the week or Friday after the agenda was already out. And so I did some research on it. I contacted Christy Cawthron, who's the owner of that business, and she was in the process. She wanted to get her at least her signs up. She is in the process of contracting with Corona Signs to paint it on the building, to paint it on the area that where the sign, the area that she designated. She is not ready for painting the building at this time. So I think at the preservation meeting, we didn't even talk about a palette of the color. This is only discussion for the sign itself. They did bring up in the historic preservation that talking about the color, because it's one, I don't know if you've seen the Quick Cool sign. It's on the front. She painted it white with a black frame around it. But it's one continuous sign, but in reality, it's going to be three different signs because there's three. There'll be the Bouquet on Broad. What's the other one? The other one's an Art Place.
Art and Soul.
Art and Soul, and then one's in the middle. So it's actually three different signs, but it's one continuous board up there. I think the Historic Preservation had an issue with the color of it, white background. So I think we need to get Christy Cawthron on the line. Can we call her? Because I think she had some comments on it too. Before I go any further with it.
And so, Danny, whose phone should the mayor call with his phone, or do you want me to call my phone? And then move it up to the microphone? Whose phone?
Which one's that one then? Do you have that number?
Yeah.
Is your phone on?
My phone's on.
Mine's off, so I'd have to start mine up, but I have her number.
You want me to call it?
Yeah, well, we'll give Shelley the number.
Okay. So we're learning as we go, and we will call Christy here in a second so she can speak back and forth.
Oh, you have that number, right?
Yeah, I have it.
And I think the Historic Preservation Committee had requested that she repaint the white background because they thought it more looked like a billboard up there, and it didn't go, the color didn't go with the color of the building, but they really haven't determined as to the actual color of the building. I think she wants a gray or something, I don't know, but that's in the future, it's not right now. So, but really what needs to happen is I guess, is she willing to paint it again over to put it there? Because once she pays that, to paint that on there, it's going to stay. I mean, when she paints a building, that's going to be the same. It's not going to change. Yeah. So it meets the criteria for our sign code. There's 75 lineal feet in the front. And actually, if you look at the two signs are like 6 by 4 there. So two of them are 24 square feet and the other one's about a 7 square foot. So she's allowed 75 square feet of sign according to our code, our sign code on the lineal feet.
She's far under.
Oh, she's about 60
So they
square
want her to
feet.
change the white then?
They weren't happy with the white, the background, painting the sign on there. So that's why I need to bring Christy on to see what her thoughts are and what her, the other thing Christy talked about, because it's one continuous, is maybe putting some dividers to break it up so you can actually see three distinguished signs, which I agree with that.
Globe.
Yes.
And we're here talking about your item right now, and I think the mayor may have some questions. Or do you want to give a little explanation of what your mayor have her start out?
Yes.
So if you want to give a little explanation of what's going on, what you're requesting.
Yes. Yeah.
Go ahead when you're ready.
Hi, Mr. Mayor, and
You might want to turn the YouTube sound off because it's about a 17-second delay. So just turn the volume off, and that way you won't be messed up.
Ah. Hold on 1 second.
This is complicated.
Okay.
There we go.
Hi, Mr. Mayor and council members. Thank you for considering this. When I took over this building, it was two separate frames, one with a quick hole and one that was empty over Stacy's Art and Soul. And you could kind of see lettering through everything. So I painted it all white and just framed it black because I wanted it to look really clean. So that was how that came to be. The Historical Society, as I understand, it was concerned that it was so big it looked like a billboard and that would have different regulations. It is three separate businesses. I'm happy to make adjustments. I was a little confused about what they asked. I need to go back to talk to Janelle a little bit because they wanted some color of the building, which frankly only will be left. It was a little bit of a beige from the brick because I really don't want to paint brick. But my logo is a white background, and Stacy's Art and Soul logo is a white background. So I don't want to paint anything behind that beige. We talked about, just trying to keep and look with the building until I paint the building, which will be later in the summer. So I'm happy to do some dividing. I need to go back and find out exactly what that really means. And I wasn't sure how, the council felt about it. It was a little confusing, but I certainly want to keep in the gist of what the Historical Society wants. And then of course, with the city council, make sure that I'm within guidelines.
Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
And Shelley, according to your records, they voted on an agreement that Chrissy agreed on painting it a different color?
The color of the brick on the side of the building. So it would look like three separate signs as opposed to one big sign. And that was the motion with that stipulation.
I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't understand. So, Christy, did you agree to change the white background? I'm getting confused here.
Well, I did not, what I think I did, I guess I should say, I didn't I can't change the background of my logo. I can't. That's just really clean and crisp, and that's what I need. But I think they wanted the beige to come up between things to look like a continuation of the building, to make it 3 separate signs. I just need. Why I want to paint the beige off is because it looks so dirty in the building I'm in. And I just don't want a dirty color. So I need to figure out how, I need more conversation with them on that aspect of what do they think that looks like, because you just can't paint a beige stripe in the middle of white. And the background, Stacy's logo is on white and mine is on white. So there's a weird little conversation I need to have. And unfortunately, I had a flat tire this evening, and I couldn't get back to Jonelle to have more discussion on it.
Mr. Mayor.
Ready, go ahead.
I have a question. I understand that they say it looks like a billboard when it's all, one piece like that, one all white background, but is there a consideration for you and possibly the committee that there's a break in between each of the logos where it's not all continuous white, but you have the Art and Soul by itself, the Globe Wedding vendors by itself, all with the white background, but there's a break in between all of those logos.
Yes, I believe that's exactly what they were looking for. So I'm absolutely fine to do breaks between them. I just want to make sure it looks really, crisp and neat for, frankly, the city too, me and the city.
Mayor.
Jesse?
So Christy, with the black outline that you currently have, you could then take that black down in between them, and that would be fine rather than that beige?
Yes, kind of any color. I just don't think beige. After I thought about it, after Jonelle and my conversation, because I was trying to, just make sure I'm hitting everybody's mark. I'm worried about the beige. But I'm absolutely happy to separate out the signs. I think we can do, I'm happy to put renderings that they approve on it. But yes, we can do some different separations of it. I'm not sure how to just, I guess I'm hesitant to just do full line separations, because then there's these odd white spaces with nothing on them. But I think, yeah, we definitely can make separations so it looks like 3 separate signs and not one big sign. Absolutely.
That's Mayor. That's exactly what I was going to say. If you could separate all 3 with the black frame, Christy, I think that'd be a great idea.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Christy, just a reminder that the Historical Preservation Commission gives a recommendation either in support or against to the council, but at the end of the day, it's a council's decision as to whether to approve it or not. I think you're on the right track with trying to work with not just Jonelle, but with the committee.
Right.
And I don't know if there's a time frame, but if we could get another meeting of the historical, that you do some homework, kind of process that, and get another meeting to see if you can get them to do a final vote. What is your time frame, and is there a time crunch?
Well, there is a time crunch because with things opening up again, I mean, I have been open because I do funeral services and everything. I've been open the whole time, but it is hard for people to find me without something on it. So it is kind of a time crunch. I'm not sure. I know it's very difficult because they're meeting with all the COVID restrictions. It's difficult to get people together.
Mr. Mayor.
So I'm happy to table it for a little while. I just don't know what that looks like for you. But I am trying, being new to Globe, I would like to make as many people happy as possible. So I'd say that's kind of.
Mr. Mayor, I think
I would love.
I would be in favor personally moving this forward and approving it with the guideline that she does reach out to the committee and she gets as long as she separates them in threes, I don't see why we would stall a new business in town from putting up their signs. And I mean, she did just purchase that whole building, so I think that part of Broad Street already needs some help and some work, and for her to want to do this is amazing.
Is that a motion? Did you make a
Let
motion?
me, yeah.
So I motion to approve it with those guidelines.
I second.
And Mr. Mayor, and Chrissy, what we're talking about is we would do a motion that gives you the ability to go back and work with the Historical Preservation Commission, and if you can get a favorable vote from them, then you qualify with us and you're good to go, and we can help set up that meeting. Now, if by chance you can't come to agreement with that, then you would have to come back at a meeting in the future to...
That's not what I'm motioning.
Okay.
What I motion is that she puts the three, she gets the three in place.
Okay.
And I mean, she works with them, but at the end of the day, if she wants to separate the three by the black, she separates the three by the black.
So, yeah, so it's not going to be dependent upon a vote of support.
And it doesn't have to be.
She'll have to be right back here again.
Actually, our
So,
decision if we want.
Okay, I'm fine with that. So, do you,
But I think the motion is that we all agree that it has to be some separation, instead of having a full length sign there that doesn't have any, it's all continuous. So,
The comment I'd like to make, Mr. Mayor, is the separation doesn't have to be two black strips either. If she wants to paint
Anything.
a vine, or, you know, kind of like you did on the purple building in Miami, you put some pattern on your sign. I mean, I think that would add to it too, rather than just being straight lines. It would-
The more color, the better. The more,
put an
the
art
more
brush
art,
in
the
one,
better.
and you can put a vine on the other.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
But
let me move this forward, because we have a motion and a second, so I'm gonna say we have a motion and a second, and then I'll ask for a discussion now. Okay, so, yeah, I'm sorry, I should have done that first.
no, I agree with Councilman Leatham that I did misinterpret his motion. And so what it would be is, if you can come up with a agreeable separation to your liking, then the council's okay with that. And you're really, you know, and how you, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Amen.
Yeah.
Christie? Christie?
There's your flag.
Oh, Freddie, they took my flag. Why do you have a flag?
I got three of them here. Christie, my understanding is that you're having this painted on there. You're not, it's not a sign. Corona Signs is
No.
gonna paint it.
No, it's painted. I thought that would look better and a little more period appropriate.
Okay, so, and so question on the art and soul, there's not a square behind it. That's just gonna be art and soul on top of the white?
Right.
Okay, so that's just put on there? Or is that what they
yeah.
wanted?
We painted on there, and there's a what do you call those? A paint palette, kind of in between the art and the soul, with some primary colors. And then off of her logo, there's a few drips coming off some of the letters, and there will be some of the primary colors in that palette. I mean, it's really pretty, and we just tried to keep it simple and clean.
And the background on the art and soul is it that beige color with a white background?
No, I'm sorry, I couldn't get a better picture in there. It's white.
Oh, okay.
So just art and soul will be on there.
Oh, I see.
So the color you're gonna paint the building, coincide with that white, but I do recommend that you get with the Historic Preservation Committee, the full committee, and talk to them and try and come up with an agreement, because the motion we have is gonna have you move forward with what
Yeah,
you're.
I definitely will circle back with them and make sure that they're on board with whatever we do.
Whatever she does.
And then Christy, once you have a hammered out design, we will get you finish off your permit application and take care of that. If you could do me a favor, I think I texted you off my city phone. When you're ready, if you can, because we're limited staff here, When you're ready to
Right.
bring that in, if you can text me, and I'll make sure that we have someone here to accept your application and walk you through the rest of the process.
That'd be
And,
great.
Yeah, and if you have, even prior to that, if you want to come meet with us, we can sit down and let you know how this will go from this point forward, whenever you're ready.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So I have a comment before you go, Christy. Welcome to Broad Street, and thank you for buying that building and fixing it up.
I'm very excited and also frightened.
Of course, that's
An
normal.
old building, but I'm so very excited to be in Globe, and the reception has been so wonderful and warm. I so appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
That's good to hear. So we have a motion and a second. The motion is to move forward with her idea of partitioning it, but to work with the Historic Society to maybe come to some common ground on the background paint?
Yeah.
Or leave as is?
Leave it as it is if she wants.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And Mr. Mayor, we've kind of blended this with a little bit of a process question, so before you do the final vote and end this item, if you're okay, I would like to, I think we'd asked about some ways we could do better and streamlining this process. This is an administrative process, but just since we're talking about this, I'd like to go through a quick, like a one slide PowerPoint. If you'd like to hear it now, or we can put it another, or we can put it another time.
Where's your flag, Freddie?
We're already.
Okay, so, all right, I will email it out to you. Okay, I will email it out. Okay.
Okay, thank
Nope, kill the PowerPoint. We will, I will send it out. Okay. I can take a hint.
Any further discussion? Christie, any other comments?
She's.
Oh, she hung up? Okay. Any further discussion? So I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstaining? Motion passed. Thank you for allowing that late agenda item. Do we have any call to public, second call to public?
Yes, we do. Let me crank open the computer. And let's see. What we have is from what looks like is from Sherry Rice. And Sherry Rice would like to say in the second call to the public, I am on the Copper Basin Coalition Committee that is working with the two moms regarding the prom, and it is to be a combined prom for Globe and Miami. And that's from Sherry Rice. And she sent that in at 6:41, and she qualifies for a second call to public. And so we can't, Sherry, thank you, we can't respond to you, but good to know, and I think everybody's excited about that project.
Yeah, so there may be a
We can't really.
problem with the number of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it may be out of our control.
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, Sherry.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Scheduling of meetings?
Yes. We are in the middle of the meat and potatoes of putting together the budget right now. We had put together the dates in order to, you can pass a budget in July, but it's preferable to pass it in June. Right now, we were looking at tentative budget on the 9th of June and final budget on the 23rd. The tentative is the cap, the 23rd is final. We have, the next meeting is the 26th, and this is probably one of the less crowded meetings we've had. Before we go to tentative, we'd like to roll out the budget in a standalone budget meeting. And we were looking for June 3rd, that Wednesday, in order to have a dedicated meeting just to all the budget items. We'd have pretty much everything that goes into it. We'd put the components together and let you have a chance to understand, ask questions, give your input, and that way we can do whatever we need to do based on your direction in order to get it ready for the 9th, and then we'll still have another chance to make some changes on it. But I think to pass the 10, and Shelley,
June 2nd?
It says June 2nd on the
Or
page.
June 3rd?
Yeah.
June 3rd, I think is what, Mayor, did you want
Yeah, I requested the 3rd, but.
Yeah, I think we were talking about a Wednesday. I went back, that was my mistake.
June 3rd?
June 3rd, yeah.
I will not be able to make June 2nd. I won't be.
Yeah,
That's why I
and-
requested
Oh,
the
3rd's
3rd.
fine with me.
Third works.
Yeah, does the 3rd work? Okay.
6
And
o'clock, or is it?
with the council's pleasure on what
How
time.
long are we looking at?
How long do you need?
You, okay, it's not gonna be short. I,
We're supposed to have 3 weeks off.
No. I would say with luck, I think we could do 2 hours.
We're gonna hold you to that?
No, you shouldn't.
I wrote it down. 2 hours, so.
I don't believe that for a minute.
What's that?
Not one
Yeah,
minute, no.
I would say 5:30 to 8. Let's shoot for that.
That's
Shoot
2 and a
5:30
half.
to 7:30.
That's 2.5. No, it depends how many questions we get. I don't want to cut, I want to make sure you have full chance to talk about all the different sections.
And you better send it to us ahead of time.
Well, and
In printed form.
well, now, no, I would say that let's do the rollout. To that end, I would rather roll it out at this meeting and then give you all the documents, and then you can come back, because what you're going to have is you're going to have this budget without any understanding of the reasoning behind it. And what we did, how we did, unless we put an extensive thing. And so I would like to do the normal agenda process where we put it out on a Thursday for a Tuesday meeting. But I don't know that we can have it together any sooner than that. And so, but I was thinking a week or something like that. It would just be the raw budget.
I'm with Charlene of getting it beforehand so I can look it over, and
Yeah.
if I have questions, then I can ask them.
Okay.
And that way the meeting is what you said, 2.5
So,
hours rather than.
Yeah, so, and I guess, I think what I was thinking, normally, I would tell you that normally I would like to get it out even more so than in a budget like that where there's a lot to absorb. If you can give us to the Thursday at end of the business day, the prior week?
That's fine.
Okay,
Just like the schedule, isn't it?
yeah.
But printed, so
Yes,
when there's
paper copy.
questions, we can write them
11
right
by-
on the paper.
Probably 11 by 17.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Yep.
That would be good. I'd like to have. print.
Yeah, printed, yeah.
I think we got a 1-ton flatbed we can deliver it on.
We have money for ink.
Shelley loves to drive that thing.
Okay, so we're gonna meet on the 3rd from 5:30 to
The Wednesday, the 3rd, yes.
Wednesday, the 3rd.
3rd.
And that's 5:30 to 7:30.
5:30 to 5:30 when the questions stop.
Okay.
I put it to 9, 5:30
Yeah,
to 9.
there you go. Okay, we're good with that? Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you very much. Really, we're working, juggling a lot of things between COVID and budget and many other things out there. This gives us a chance to get it tight, let you see it, have decent conversation, and then go through the public process of tentative. I think it'll be a healthy experience.
Do we have any future agenda items?
I do. Mr. Mayor, through you, is Woody Klein still on the future agenda after the pandemic's over?
Is that for the...
Or the cemetery cleanup? I said it about a month or
About
less ago.
having him in and thanking him for doing that?
Not only that, but I was told today he has a monetary gift that he'd like to present.
Oh,
to
okay.
that.
Well, no, let's...
I want to bring him in for that reason.
I think that'd be fine to bring him, well...
No, after the
After
pandemic, not now.
Oh, okay.
I want to make sure he's still on the future agenda, though, because I brought it up a while ago.
Shelley says yes, it is.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all I have.
Thank you, Mike. Fernando, you have anything?
No. Can you hear me? I said no.
Yeah, thank you.
The,
Do we need to go into executive? We don't.
Okay, so on the e-session, there was an email I sent out on, I think, Sunday afternoon that had details of a document related to the purchase of the medical center.
Are we in E-session right now?
No.
Okay.
Okay, but if you had any questions about that or wanted to express any comments with each other or to me, then I would recommend that we do the e-session. If you saw that document and the synopsis and there's an executive summary and my comments below there, and you're happy with those, satisfied with those, and the process going forward that I laid out in that email, then there's no need to meet. But I didn't know if anybody would have any questions, so it's up to you whether you want to head into e-session.
I have no need to go to any session.
Me neither.
192 pages, a lot of pages.
Yeah. No, I'm very confident and comfortable with the decision stated in there, but I just want to give you the chance if anybody had a question. So.
I think their recommendations that, you know, they didn't find anything, the problem. You know, that's their job, that's what their credentials stand for, so I don't have any problem accepting their report in the way it came.
So do we have a motion for adjournment?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Meeting
9
adjourned.
o'clock.
Shelley?
Good night.
If I had been a little bit
Short agenda.
briefer.